tomorrow brings, I'll be there, bitch, with open arms. Where we go. We're live. It's on. It's happening. I hit the wrong button as always, but back at it. Back from the vacay. Back in your absolute face hole. It is the BCX. Put that ish up high if you get down like that. Welcome on into the Brian Campbell experience. This right here, right now, is our weekly ramble. Campbell's Rambles, in fact, where they allow this grown man to just forget what he's talking about and really linger in long evaporative circles, if that makes any sense. Yes, thank you, Banger. Just I just met her of an intro. Thank you, Remix. Shout out as always to the great to the great band Head Change from Nebraska, my man Anthony Weller for putting together that riff. They laid down the drums, they laid down the keyboards. I'm like, meet me at the intersection of Franklin's Tower and Blue Sky, if you know what I'm saying. And that's where we ended up right there. Thank you for adjusting to this adjusted time today. I mean, it is 4:00 Eastern somewhere, but today we do it at 2 Eastern time. I forgot that I'm double parked and double booked. Though it's a great booking though. Okay. Later today, this afternoon, I will be recording episode 2 of this little collab we got going on called the Dirt Bags with Dennis from Submission Radio. Love that guy. And of course, Jed Michoud Deuce, who pretty decent human being despite being an absolute weirdo. A real big fan of that guy too. So smoke him if you got him. 2-drink minimum. What you see here is an illusion. I'm only going back to it because I can't get off of West Coast time after 9 days over there, and I'm trying to survive. But we can't do the afternoon coffee bit anymore. I mean, there is no pleasure. There's no great pleasure when you're 46 like a hot afternoon coffee. But man, them caffeine withdrawals, they'll make a grown man cry. Okay. Yep. There we go. Hey, today is April 23rd. It's a Wednesday. It's the 2025. I'm back from San Diego, Joshua Tree, just a magical damn national park out there in extended Yucca Valley, California, 29 Palms. The high desert's a wild place. All right. I got a lot of things to say about California, my favorite state. It's a wild place, but had a great family vacay. Back, ready to deliver. Adjustment period, yes. Yes, waking up at 4 a.m. on Monday for the old MK in the NYC kind of kicked me in the butt. Then I got on the wrong train on the way home because I was exhausted. I mean, it's just, all that trash that Luke and I talk about, Newark Penn Station, that's where I ended up because I got on in the wrong direction like an absolute a-hole. But we got through it. All right. I did get a nice taste of it that day. And I know some people say, hey, MK, hey, BCLT, enough with the homeless people comments. I don't mean to not have a soul when we talk about that stuff or diminish the actual need out there and issues out there in this world. But it can be overwhelming on MK good morning. I'll tell you that much. Okay. I mean, the guy's pulling his ball bag out in the bathroom. It gets wild. It gets wild in there. All right. Yeah. Hope I had a great vacation. Yeah, I had a great vacation. Thank you. And to everyone who celebrated, shout out to you guys. Hope you did as well. You're right, Harmon. Shout out to Dennis from Submission Radio and to Jed Michoud. When you can find good people in this game, in the shark-infested waters, you cling to them, I find. All right. It's not just our music shamans like the great Aaron Bronstetter, who's also a fantastic human being. But when you find these people, you got to bro up and bro out. Okay. There we go. There we go. Right there. Danger Mouse from the UK. My man. Are we on the comeback trail, Danger Mouse? He says, don't forget to wish all your English listeners a happy St. George's Day. Happy St. George's Day to George Groves, Danger Mouse, Arturo out there in the UK from Mexico. AZ Ray, we love that guy too. All my UK blokes. Mike Owens Media from Liverpool, right? There we go. There we go. All right. Patty the Batty, the meatball to the Molly. All right, there we go. There we go. A lot to talk about today before we even hear your questions. I mean, this guy, Harmon's like, yo, Elia teasing an IFW bout with Islam. I mean, he seems to be teasing an IFW bout in general. Will it be Islam? One of the things, of course, that we need to talk about again. Old Man Dave is here. Thank you. BC's back. B to the sizzle. W to the Oshed. Yeah, there we go. Yeah. Yeah, there we go. Okay, thank you. I hope everyone's here today, a couple hours early. I don't know what you got going on in your life. I don't know where you reside, but right here, we have an old man's club. We get together, okay? So raise them high. If you get down on that a sip of coffee to the working man. However, you're going to get down. Get down. Okay, get down right now. All right, let's go. Let's go remix. Let's go. Old man Baines, Harold Baines, right there. Number retired, number 3, Chicago White Sox. Was a big fan of that guy. Ethan Ross, I see you too. Well, you know, am I? That's the question. I know Zuck's looking at your filthy search history at the moment, but put that piece of tape over the. All right, I'm kidding. Whatever. All right, there we go. Let's get ready, Lazy Bed. Let's get ready to ramble. We're gonna hit some big topics today. I mean, we're a week out from this big Ryan Garcia card in Times Square. We also have rumblings of Jones Aspinall falling apart. Maybe Elia Islam coming together. Hey, how about that Wrestlemania criticism fallout that's going on? Tune out now if you don't care. And I know most of you don't, but it's kind of crossed over into what we do because it's very TKO driven right now. And TKO is trying to take over all that we worked for in this industry. Shout out to some of those people at TKO. Shout out to some of them, right? A couple good people in those ranks, definitely. Happy to be back. There ain't nothing like Southern California for me. Okay. So I enjoyed the Kriz app out of it, even with the earthquake, even with the inconsistent weather patterns. But what I really loved ultimately the most was just getting to traverse. You know, I always say about California and particularly Southern, because I've yet to really investigate what's going on in Central or North. Can't wait. Would love to. Meet me there. Meet me in Temecula to start it off, preferably. But I've always been enamored at that incredible state's ability to offer desert, ocean, and snow-peaked mountains, you know, within 45 minutes of each other. And I got a really interesting taste of that when I drove down from Joshua Tree through Palm Springs and then sort of took the back way down into Imperial County there in Southern California, driving by the Salton Sea, which is wild, you know, going by Coachella, going into the Ansa Borrego Desert State Park, that whole area. And then you're going from below sea level, feeling like you're in Mos Eisley's spaceport outside the cantina, to climbing a mountain into lush green rolling hills, and you feel like you're in New England again, all in a span of like 10 miles. It is wild down there. Okay. I get down with that. So thank you very much. And the food, right? Oh God, the food. I mean, the mom and pop Mexican, the whatever you can find down there. Incredible. One of the most incredible states. Brody Moret, though, Utah is the most beautiful place in America, and you can have multiple wives over there. Well, it is part of the allure and the offer. But yes, I did the Utah National Park trip within the last 2 years with the family. Didn't hit Zion or Bryce, can't wait, or Capitol Reef, but did get into Canyonlands and Arches, which life-changing. Come on, life-changing terrain out there. If you get down with that national park business, I do. Okay. All right. Ham sandwich, how did the Mexican taste? The food, I think you're referencing. I mean, 10 out of 10. This is my life. This is my passion. That's the spirit that they brought to every forkful. So I was in on it. Thank you. Um, yeah. Okay. Thanks for joining me, of course. I hope you guys are doing well. I mean, we didn't do this last week, and you know, it was there was a hole in my heart, as Extreme once sang. You know, that can only be filled by you. You know what I mean? Bow now, now, right? Come on, Brody. Thank God you went live, BC. I'm suffering through Ariel's weak ass show. Okay, he said that. I didn't say that. Shout out to some degree to Ariel. He's fighting the good fight out there, leading the charge. But you know, you can like what you like. You like to get down with the BC? I'm here for you. Okay, I'm here for you. You like to get down with three dirtbags? We're gonna be here for you. I don't know when it's gonna air, but shout out to Dennis. We probably woke up at like 3 a.m. to record it because the guy's, you know, the guy's all about that life. He's ready. He's here to get down. Dean Gorman, excuse me, finally catching the BCX live. Greetings from Dublin. So I was excited about this, a minor time change, but I was wondering how that may open up or close other people's access to the live action we've got going. It's exciting stuff, really. It's exciting live action that we've got going on. But shout out to Dublin. Good luck with President McGregor and Dean Gorman. Thank you for joining us right here, right now. Quick more talk about nature from Old Man Dave. BC, next time you go west, consider Pikes Peak. Would love to. My sister lives in outside of Boulder, Colorado. So I went to Rocky Mountain National Park with her before. Incredible. And Garden of the Gods near Colorado Springs. It's the tits, he says. Yes, it's another place I'd like to tune in Tokyo, if you will. Will you, though, in this modern day? That's the question. That's the question. Jim Nance's nephew also here. We see you. Thank you. Shout out to the University of Houston. I've got 2 turntables and a cat soon. Reggie. Well, we may see him. We may see Zoe. Zoe clamors for the FaceTime. All right. She had a big role in yesterday's for better or worse, right? I mean, you're gonna have to see her butthole a lot. I'm gonna be scratching, but Zoe during Inside the Box with BC Bugs, we got after it. So 3 beige ones on 1 mic. Yeah. I mean, the American Alpha's back, okay, back from the vacation in the Americas, and Luke back at the same time. So I was happy we didn't have to roll out the 2 to 3 week gap of not having the 2 pieces of Morning Combat together. So we're back. The show's back. We'll be back this Friday, of course, 11 a.m. Eastern live. So you be there. All the regulars are here, according to Lazy Bet, even though it's early. Maybe we'll get some Nosita. Maybe we'll get some JP. Maybe we'll get some Run Dem Cheeks. All the folks will be here. Project Zeb will probably be rolling around. There he is. Yup. I'm late for today's ramble. Glad it's back. And a bonus submission radio appearance tonight from the Alpha. So that's what I'm offering. That's what the hell I'm offering. I just updated as well my pound for pound rankings at CBS Sports for mixed martial arts, if you care, if you want to check it out. Hey, Volk's back. Volk is back. All right. Tell your friends. Thank you. Thank you very much. We're going to get into so much. Yeah, right. MMJ, right? Going on these days. Well, this may be the last time we get the afternoon coffee, so we got to savor every taste. All right. I mean, do you ever go through those withdrawal headaches when you're riding too loose in turn 4 and you remember the Daytona 500 from 01? So you don't want to crash and burn, right? The afternoon cup is a jealous it's a jealous ex-girlfriend. Yeah. When you pull away from it, all right. You have to walk around with that receipt of that lingering hangover headache for a while. Saul is here. Louisville's finest. He checks in with us from the gutter once in a while. This show rocks like the Video Brothers. Thank you, Saul, for supporting. I hope you're doing well. Maybe you're on a job site right now with your brother Manuel Jr., and maybe you did pass the Ducci to the left side. But Saul, thank you. Please, folks, in terms of this great broadcast, I wish you would heed Saul's great intentions there. And like the video, subscribe to what we got going on here on the BCX. It's exclusive to everybody, but we seem to have a private little club here of like-minded riffraff who are in questionable roles in their own societies, but we unite under the embodiment here of hope, optimism, joy, friendship, love, right, ridiculousness. We love combat sports. Some of us love 70s vinyl. Some of us get down with 90s MMA like it's going out of style. A few others of us play Fortnite every single day of our lives. So that's who we are. That's what we represent. other people, they get a little frisky. Remix saying, who isn't Shannon Sharp giving that BC tune nowadays? Wow. Wow. Let's get that off the screen. But yes, that gentleman is in hot water, it seems, at the moment. I don't know the truth. But that's a hell of an age gap, I'll tell you that much. What is that, like 35 years? Wow. The whole thing seems pretty gross, but they'll find out here. And shout out to Mikey, who Mikey Mo always has my back, yours as well. He'll get behind you and spoon with you if you ask nicely. There we go. All right. I'm going to talk about a few topics. Then we're going to roll out the questions for you. Okay. We're going to roll out the damn we're gonna open the floor. The super chat will be open. Don't feel obliged. Don't feel obligated. Feel obliged if you want to. All right. All the proceeds go to go to great causes. Let me tell you that much. But if you haven't already checked out yesterday's Inside the Box with Rafe Bugs, check it out. Evil Music was there. He says, love the chat with Rafe yesterday about NHL 94, the greatest video game of all time. The Sega version, better than the Super NES, although it is close, right? Ronick was absolutely unstoppable. And I was very happy that great game got that love in the movie Swingers. Remember that, which was largely sort of improv in a lot of ways. And the whole Superfan number 99 thing, make them bleed. Yes, that was NHL 94 to a T right there. So thank you. And also, I did want to address this question here, and thank you, Devin Doherty, Double D. Right? I mean, he's a handful, just like his nickname, right? Thank you for your support of this show. It could be a lady, I guess it could be. Then I take back everything I just said. BC, you said you went to Joshua Tree, yeah. So I did get the T-shirt. I went there, got the tee. Didn't see the sunset like I wanted to. Our life schedules unfortunately didn't match up. We had some luck going on, but stayed in San Diego. That's like a 200 miles drive. Thank you for the geography update, Devin. I stayed a few nights in Yucca Valley and got to experience the weirdness of the desert. Loved Joshua Tree. And but we knew coming in it would be an appetizer. It wouldn't be the 3-4 long, let's hit every trail, every hike, let's experience it all. It was an appetizer to add to the growing resume of national parks completed. I think that was officially my 8th of my lifetime, which isn't necessarily something to brag about, but I've touched ground in a few of these great spots and hope to continue to add them to the list. And then spent the rest of the trip in La Mesa, California, right outside of San Diego. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful stuff. Thank you, Devin, for your support of this great chat. Or is it great, right? Or is it great? Brody Moret, did you listen to the U2 album in Joshua Tree? No. So I do part of my allure to Joshua Tree is not just that it's what I would call a unique / weird national park, and that it's, in a desert, cactus, crazy trees everywhere, different kinds of terrain. I mean, a lot of the hiking is about the weirdness of the rock formations, not foliage, the plants, whatever you want to call that. But it also has a huge rock and roll connection to me, without question, as it did to so many of our rock and unfortunately drug abusing heroes of that pocket, of that crescent of incredible music in the late 60s and early 70s. For me, it was through Graham Parsons, the incredibly underrated rated and innovative country rock superstar who invented in some degree that crossover in that way between country, rock, folk, and sort of the hippie lifestyle that he dubbed cosmic American music, but never got to truly cash in on that due to his alcohol and drug abuse, his early death, and then maybe, just maybe, the fact that the Eagles essentially stole his model, softened it up, made it more radio friendly, and ran with it as sort of the pioneers, even though whether we're talking about the International Submarine Band, whether we're talking about his incredible one album stay with the Byrds with 1967 Sweetheart of the Rodeo, maybe the first true country rock 5-star classic in that genre's history. And of course, his 2-album stay with the Flying Burrito Brothers and ex-Bird Chris Hillman and Sneaky Pete on the pedal steel. I mean, that pedal steel's not there for background. They're using it as a weapon. They absolutely are. So the idea that people like Graham Parsons would would come to the Joshua Tree National Park on the regular. It would be their refuge. And of course, they'd eat handfuls of peyote and stay up all night and be weird. And it led to Parsons' untimely death, which actually came in the town of Joshua Tree at the Joshua Tree Inn when he took a morphine shot from someone he didn't know in the room next to him, and that never made it out of that. Shout out to the Alan Parsons project. No, I mean, I a couple tracks there, but not on the same level of what I bring or love from Graham. So I was hoping that there was a rock and roll connection there at the park. It was very minimal. It was one of the two. Well, there's a bunch of visitor centers, but there's a big visitor center. We went to the smaller one that's actually in the town of Joshua Tree, and behind the ranger's desk, you actually have to ask permission to go behind them. They do have this glass case, which has the Graham Parsons, essentially his greatest hits cover, which had Joshua Tree National Park in the background. It's got the U2 Joshua Tree, the backside of the cover where they're standing next to the tree. And it had a guitar donated by, what's his name from the Animals? From War. What the hell is it? Eric Burden. He also donated a guitar to there. So you got a little bit. And then I went over to Pioneer Town and went to the apparently the famous Patty's and Maggie's Rock Saloon place. Took down a burger with patty sauce on it. It was life-changing, and didn't get to see any live music there, though. But that the weirdness, the mysticalness, the vibe, the rock and roll connection, you feel it when you're there. I got the taste of understanding what those rock heroes certainly loved about it. But if you don't care about that, then you're not going to be listening right now. Okay, all right. But Joshua Tree, one of the best albums ever. I mean, it's a fantastic album. I've got Bono issues. I've long had Bono issues. I certainly can respect what U2's done at their highest points, and even through some of them changes that they've made stylistically, artistically around the way. I mean, I get down with Achtung Baby. I do. But it's a great album. But when I think of the Joshua Tree, I think of Graham Parsons. Okay, that's where it's at. 2 turntables and a tall beige guy. All right. There you go. All right, let's get into the actual topics. BC Lazy Bed says you should cleanse yourself in the waters of Lake Minnetonka. Yes, Vern Gagne territory. Let me get a steak salad there. No question about that. Thank you. Maybe one day I'll hit Minnesota. Maybe, probably not, but we'll see. Isn't it cold as shit? I mean, the allure for me is to go places that are either, beautiful, warm with a ocean, or in this case, a weird desert. But ultimately, I'm chasing mountains. Okay, don't go chasing waterfalls, or you end up like Left Eye there. But I'm chasing mountains, not flatness. Although I'm sure, Minnesota's got lake life and forest life that would blow me away, maybe for 3 months a year before it gets really cold, and then everyone's upset again. All right, hey, here it is. Reminder: yes, UFC Kansas City is this weekend. People already turning on me for being an Ian Machado Gary super fan or super believer. I do believe in this guy. All right. So we're going to find out this Saturday when he takes on Carlos Prates. Full preview coming to Friday's Morning Combat, 11 a.m. Eastern time. You know what to do. Thank you. Thank you for that. So that's going on this weekend. Eubank versus Ben, Egggate going on this weekend. It's going to be wild. It's going to be a great time. All right. This is what we do. Okay. This is what we do. Saul, real quick, thank you for your support. Any infused treats at Joshua Tree? No, this was a family affair. Thank you very much. But I can understand how these guys used to get down. I mean, the Eagles used to spend a lot of time there. A lot of guys did. It's one of the more interesting places I've ever been. It was great though. Absolutely great national park. Yeah, thank you. Number one here topic. Hey, Ryan Garcia is back. So it's going to be a week from Friday. We already know that, May 2nd, Times Square. Big deal. Pay-per-view on DAZN. The triple header that's going to have Teofimo in the first one in a very good title fight with Honorable Barbosa. Former champion Jose Ramirez is going to welcome Devin Haney back to the box. And then we get my guy, right? Rolly Romero. Real quick, lazy bedside joke. Don't get Andre Rison by your own Lisa Lopez. A lot of 90s references in there. I appreciate that. She will burn that house down, Seth Rollins. Yes, she did. All right. Despite having the 80 Rison tattoo on her shoulder right there. The box will be back Harmon will be back with you, enjoying that box. It's a full box weekend, of course, next week with the Raw Guy Turkey Ring Magazine card on Friday, Canelo in Saudi on Saturday, and you already know Inoue back on Sunday. The intrigue, though, is almost exclusively because of Canelo's opponent being William Skull, and even Inoue's opponent, even though I love me some Ramon Cardenas from San Antonio, big time power. He's a monster favorite there. That's more of a, hey, Inoue's back and he's in the States. Let's get fired up. Okay. I'm glad they're not going head to head with the other cards. In a weird way, it's going to be a balls bonanza boxing weekend of a big event every day. But the real intrigue is on that Friday show for so many reasons, not just setting up the great possibilities of a Ryan Garcia Devin Haney rematch, which it'll be blockbuster. Whether it's in Saudi, whether it's a Ring Magazine card, whether they do it at the Lava Shack, the amount of focus, the intrigue, it's going to be awesome. But this card coming up next Friday is almost like, the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view before WrestleMania. It's the one that's going to really feed us the information that will lead to wherever we're going, whether it's Raw Guy Haney. I mean, like, there are scenarios where I don't think we get Raw Guy Haney 2 next. What if Haney gets knocked out by Ramirez? Not likely, but what if that happens? Do you do Teofimo against Raw Guy? I mean, there's a lot of things you can do. Ryan Garcia may end up being a mandatory at welterweight for Boots Ennis if he wins against Rolly next Friday. Now, should Ryan win? Yes, he should. The odds will tell you that. The skill difference between the two of them will tell you that. I love me Rolly. I can sit here and give you that, that inverse or that whole puncher's chance. He's reckless. He's weird. He's all this. Yeah, he is. But Rolly really needs a performance that reminds us that he does bring something to the table as a marketable B-side above just the weird, dry humor. He got sent to hell by Pitbull at 135 2 fights ago. And then his last fight against Manuel Jaimes, it didn't look like he was progressing under that pocket rocket of a great trainer there, Ismail Salas, that he's trending upward. So maybe that leads to an even more dangerous and focused Rolly. I hope it does. I think there's many ways that Raw Guy versus Rolly is going to overproduce in terms of intrigue / drama / shit, this is fun type of stuff, even if the expectation that Ryan will piece him up becomes true. And I do feel like inevitably it will come true. And that's why I'm bringing this topic up. Quick aside from Brody Moret, BC, it's time to start the, in a way, hate propaganda. Hate's a strong word. Dude's been fighting bums ever since Fulton. Yeah, his matchmaking has leveled off. There were mandatories he had to do. When you're undisputed, that happens. You got 4 belts. You got to serve your masters. But I'll agree with you. He went on this stretch where it's like escalation. Oh, we're going to go to a 4th weight class. Let's debut against Stephen Fulton Jr. for half the belts. Like that's what he does. We've gone, in the other direction. What we really want is the MJ Akhmadaliev fight, which will probably be this fall. We really want the Nakatani fight, which you hear rumors could be this winter or early next year. We want the idea of him escalating, maybe even up towards fighting Bam Rodriguez. And that's not an escalation of going up in weight, but, sort of let's build that and set the stage for that. Maybe that's what happens, because it's unlikely that he's ever going to move up and fight the Tanks and go up that high. But he's closer to his ceiling than he's not, right? I mean, even the great Chocolatito found that ceiling in the second half of his run at 115 when age slowed him down just enough and people could stand with him. And, he's still the good. So most of those he won. But when he ran into the Rat King twice, Sri Saket Sorung Vasai, we found that ceiling. We did. We haven't found that yet with Inoue. I mean, getting dropped in the first round by Neri doesn't fully satisfy that. It's a warning. But, luckily Bam's coming up from below. Luckily, Nakatani's coming up from below. So it's much more likely that we get that. All right. Thank you for hijacking me for a second here. Ryan Garcia. I've seen the videos of him hitting that heavy bag really fast and hitting the mitts with Derek James, who became his trainer again, seemingly by default, because he couldn't, even though he had been in camp with Canelo and Eddie Reynoso, who he used to be with before. Let's be honest, because we heard the quotes from Eddie and Canelo when their falling out happened. They didn't think Ryan had the work ethic to make it worth it for them to invest that time. That became evident when he went to Joe Goosen. Even though he had success until the loss to Tank, it seemed like it was evident that they're going to train on Ryan's times. You're going to be, as Goosen would say himself in the interviews, you're not the trainer. You're sort of the co-partner in this. You're in helping Ryan get to that point. He did some good things with Derek James. I mean, he got the damn win against Haney, but it didn't feel like that was the perfect marriage. But maybe it's the perfect marriage right now because it has to be. He didn't want to have his dad, Henry Garcia, be his main trainer. I understand that. So they brought back Derek James because Reynoso is going to be out in Saudi. But I'm not here to tell you that it's just some really good looking videos of him improving a few things, his footwork, improving even the tightness of that incredible left hook, which is what we saw it against Haney. There's a reason we all picked Haney to tune him up like a guitar, like Luke Thomas said, or I thought he was legitimately going to knock Ryan out because the old Ryan was a different fighter. Yes, he was dangerous against the Bs, the B pluses, even got up off the canvas against Luke Campbell, proved that to us back in the day, but had a lot of mental health challenges that started after the Campbell fight when he sat out for 2 years. That only continued to this absolutely ridiculous 2020-24 that he had in so many ways. But I think these videos were a reminder that we don't know the full specifics. He hasn't done the kind of sit down with full, we got little pockets of it. He sat down with Akin Barak. He sat down with Andre Ward, I think, right? Did he do that? No, he didn't do that. That was Haney. Maybe he did too. I don't like. He's done a few of these interviews since this Wild last year, but outside of the most recent reveals with Akin Barak of just how messed up he was in 24, I don't know if we've gotten like the full update of like, has he done therapy? Has he gone on meds? Either way, I'm telling you, something has changed in him for the better. And it had to, because he was becoming a pariah. He was on the verge of losing access to his kids when he got arrested for trashing that hotel room. And it looked like he was going to be on his way quickly to becoming a casualty. I mean, it really did. He was out of control, even though he was playing us to certain degrees to set up that performance. And it was masterfully played, grossly played, disgustingly played, but masterfully played. But there was always another level of potential for him if he could unlock it. And by the time the Tank fight came around and we saw really, I mean, obviously against a great fighter in Tank, even with the weight rehydration thing that pulled Ryan back down into being a little bit less dangerous, or maybe a lot of bit less dangerous. But when shit got hard in there, Ryan gave up the game plan after he got knocked down early and wasn't as reckless as he was in what led to him getting knocked down, but also really wasn't putting himself in a spot to win. Tank broke him down. He had the pre-existing rib injury. The body shot knockdown gave him an excuse to get out. He got out. And I'm not saying that to rip him. I'm a keyboard warrior in the basement. But I'm saying who he was mentally at that time. And that's before the big breakdown of 2024. That was fueled a lot by the drama in his life, which he did reveal to Akin Barak. The divorce with his wife, the challenging of the custody with his children, the mom cancer diagnosis. These were legitimate things that played a role in him going completely off the rails, along with drugs, alcohol, and unchecked, mental health challenges. I don't know how fully he's back. I'm not absolving him of all the bullshit he said last year and did. But when you watch these videos and you realize that the performance against Haney was the ultimate, oh shit fight, not just for the, we didn't see this coming, not just for the, wasn't he crazy like a day ago on the scale with the beer? It was for the, oh my God, if he actually puts it together like this, he is a completely different fighter. Like you raise those ceilings of potential because there are natural things he brings to the table that people can't fake or mimic unless you have it. The speed, the power of that left hook. When he's rolling as confident as he was against Haney, it's a dangerous dude. And this was after a camp in which he'll admit that, there was drugs and alcohol and he wasn't in great shape, which is why he couldn't fight the full 3 minutes every round. He fought in spurts and spots. He got outboxed around the times that he was hurting Haney. But when he committed to hurting Haney, Osterin or not, or many, many other things he could have been taken. He could have been taken. I don't know. You never know anymore what people are taking. You have to assume the worst in reality. But whether the Osterine thing was picogram level and didn't really affect it or not, I guess I get how Ryan's defense is that it was an anomaly within a bunch of positive tests. That whole thing is a gray area. But the maturity / poise that he showed in that fight was not there before. Like, not even fully in, like, the Luke Campbell fight is the fight that secured the idea that he's not a pretty boy social media guy. He's a real fighter. And he did, by the way, have a real amateur background where he beat real guys. I mean, when you have that type of length, speed, skill, fast twitch fiber, I got a fruit fly in here. What's going on here? You're gonna have that potential, but you got to have the whole package. We don't really know if he's got the full chin or the willingness to go through hell. He showed us, at least against Luke Campbell, that, like, he's not a fraud. How good is he going to be? We're going to find out. But you cannot forget how low the stock was coming off of that Tank loss, even though it was Tank. So, but here's an interesting point. Brody Moret hits it at the exact right time. I'm going to bring it up. Good timing here. BC, you're missing the point, though. Ryan being mentally unwell is what made him great in that Haney fight. You can't beat crazy. He has lost his edge now. I get that take. I was going to bring that up as a, hey, here's one way that you can, try to Matumbo what I'm about to say. Is it the old Manny effect? When Manny was gambling with his friends all night and cheating on his wife and drinking, it almost fueled him in the ring, being just, and it changed when he gave his life to Christ. I mean, his style changed a lot too after the knockout to Marquez in 2012 for a bit. Maybe understandably so. He became more of a safer boxer, but there wasn't that killer instinct anymore. That's one example under one circumstance. This is a completely different one, but it does beg the question or fuel the idea that can some unhingedness take you to another level in some ways. It can. Reggie at the door, as always. Hold on a second. Hold on. Reg, hold on. There's due process here, Reg. All right. What do you think? I'm just gonna, what do you think we're doing here? What are we trying to accomplish, Reg? Say hi. Come on. Come up. All right. This is the guy. We know him. We love him. He's unhinged. All right. Yes, he is. So yes, I hear what you're saying. But that version of him is completely unhealthy and unsustainable. And I think we all know and realize that. I think, though, what that version of him, the crazy, I don't give an F anymore version of him, I think it unlocked some of the things that were holding him back. We know he had a mental health episode, right? That took him 2 years of his prime away. We know it seems that he battles a lot of the things that us regular Joes do, the anxiety, the depression, the whatever. He had, a certain level of fame and popularity on social media before he achieved that level of attention in the ring. That's got to mess with somebody and lead you down the wrong road. I think, though, the episode of him going crazy and raising his game, proof will be in the pudding, as Floyd said. He hasn't fought either since that first fight. But the way I'm seeing him handle himself, I think he got past. I think he matured to some degree in what was holding him back as a fighter. I don't mean he matured enough that everything in his personal life is going to be hunky-dory the rest of the way. I don't know. I hope so. Because, I know he did get enough of a scare last year that he could have been giving away everything through his behavior and activities. Reggie, great stuff. All right. Reggie is the reason. There's your shirt. Yeah. Reggie. Yeah. I mean, this guy's just, his poll results within this house, they want him gone. All right. I'm fighting to keep him in good graces, but he's got my back and I got his. Okay. That's how it works at the end of the day. So to wrap up this long-winded talk going nowhere, which is pretty much on brand for this chat, I'm telling you that seeing that video continued this thing that was sparked within me, that I don't know how long he can hold it together. And I don't know if I'm getting drunk on the juice, but he already had a real chance to go in there and rough Rolly up. Rolly could end up being, with his lack of defense and head movement, perfect pinata for Ryan. But I think Ryan's even more well coiled, ready. Because the one thing that the 1-year drug suspension did for him, it initially sent him spiraling, way deeper spiraling than he already was, because it was taking him out of the spotlight in the way that he's used to being. And that's why he had to go out of his way to create more spotlight opportunities. And when you're mixing the Molotov cocktails of drugs, alcohol, and unchecked mental health and trauma in your life that's unresolved, you're going to do some BS. He did extreme BS. He did extreme freaking BS. But he got scared enough that he could lose it all. That if he comes into here going, they took away the thing that I love the most, I think that is enough to sober him into being more dialed in than he's ever been before. And when you have that natural talent, and when you're coming off of a fight in which you're this big underdog against this defensive wizard and technical genius, and you beat that ass, he may walk into his 147 body with full grown man strength at the right time for his full emotional, personal level up when it comes to maturity. That it may not be about, well, crazy does produce sometimes next level performances in there. He might just be free for the first time, because I think that's the key. Him going crazy last year was also him in his own mind at the time being free for the first time, saying, I don't give a F anymore. Did it and expressed it in the complete wrong and foul and ridiculous ways. But I'm seeing a dangerous assassin who understands now how to bring out the best of him. That I see the potential for that. So yeah, Reggie, could you help me out here? I mean, could you protect this house Miyagi style and get that fly? All right, we don't need that guy here. And then Harmon's not wrong here. This could be Rolly's last big fight. He's been on a downward trajectory in his, in the model he should be following. You could argue and say Maidana, which would to some degree understand, but I think it's really Mayorga. Mayorga always found a way, because Mayorga, technically, he's going to get sent to hell against everyone he steps up above water against, whether that was Trinidad. It wasn't the case against Vernon Forrest, and those are the two fights that made him. And I actually thought he might have got robbed against Corey Spinks. Topic for another day. But he did a great job of getting absolutely outclassed in step-up opportunities, Trinidad, De La Hoya, Mosley, and finding a way to get the perfect matchmaking after that to take two fights, get back into the title mix, maybe pick up an interim title, maybe whatever, and be right back in there for a big fight. But you need them wins in between. And even though Rolly got a win last time against Manuel Jaimes, it wasn't what we were looking for. All right. Just Bleed Radio apparently is in this house. So shout out. All right. Shout out to the people there. I mean, where is my invite? Am I not good enough to be on your show? All right. Is that what's going on here? Shout out to the guys. Sandine, Lazy Bed MMA, who does sound like a teenage Midwesterner, but props to him. And of course, the aforementioned UK bloke, Danger Mouse. Thank you. Why do I owe Luke $250 now? Do we make a bet that I didn't know about? I don't know about that. Okay. There we go. So here's the deal, Alan. I'm going to watch it either tonight or tomorrow night, because I'm not going to watch it until I finish what I'm doing, because I stumbled into Celtic City on the HBO Max app from Bill Simmons and Connor Shelv of 30 for 30 fame. And as we talked about briefly on Inside the Box yesterday, it's freaking fantastic. And yes, I'm a Celtics fan, so that would make part of it, but it's just so brilliantly done. And I'm deep in row 8, and I'm deep into that. So once that thing wraps up, I think I got 2 episodes left. I'm going to see The Way from 2010, a Emilio Estevez production. So get ready, get fired up, L&W. We always have homework to do here. Let's see about JBR. Old Man Dave. Is Old Man Dave the same thing as Sandine? Is he rebranding himself? Is he getting off of the street corner? JBR loves you, BC. They just need to get their act together. Yeah, that would be the thing. Ham sandwich Rolly is the modern era Mero Paez. It's an interest, Maro. That's an interesting take right there. That's an interesting take. You need wins though. You got to keep this thing up. You got to eventually, you got to find that upset lane. Rolly had big wins that he didn't deserve, right? Title fights against Barroso, and of course when he won his first secondary belt there against Jackson Marinez. Those were clearly fights that, you know, the other guy got robbed. He's got to knock out a guy that's maybe coming down with a name or isn't ready yet, and then he could sustain himself another couple years on top. Look, if he loses but has moments or shows extreme toughness to make it a fight, it could be a moral win in disguise. But people are right. People are right about my guy, really. Okay. All right. All right. This is from Brody Murrah. Underrated boxing commentary moment when Moro said, "Problem solved," when Maidana kicked Broner's ass. Yeah, that was a great call. It was a great fight. I wasn't there in San Antonio in late 2013, but the people I know that were say it was one of the great ringside atmospheres there with the crowd just going nuts. And I'll say it, I don't think there's ever been a bigger day on boxing Twitter history than that fight. People were waiting for that moment for a long time, and they got their comeuppance, even though AB redeemed himself down the stretch of that fight. Did AB try to quit early? Yeah. Did AB get his ass kicked early? Yeah. Did AB try to grind Maidana unnecessarily? Yeah. Is AB largely a POS? Yeah. But I give that man respect for once they didn't allow him to quit. He tried to quit. The referee was like, "No, I'm not going to DQ you." Then he started to try to come back, and that was interesting there. But thanks. Okay. Lazy Bet. I was going to super chat, but I'm going to save it until 5:30 so you can split the $2 with Jed and Dennis. That's very generous of you, sir. If you're all good, I'll give you each a Werther's original. Thank you, Lazy Bet. Maybe that's revenge for that comment about his voice, maybe. But we'll deal with that on this JBR one day, okay? All right. There we go. Harmon AB, one of the biggest what ifs in modern boxing history. There's no question about it. Yet he's also a 4-division title holder, which is ridiculous. Not against, a lot of vacant titles, it's still ridiculous. It's ridiculous. All right. That's a topic. Topic 2. Here we go. Stay hydrated. Okay. I'll make it quick because I know you don't care, but I didn't really care about pro wrestling at all since I stopped covering it in early 2000 and focused back exclusively on boxing and MMA. From 2016 to 2020, I was I guess, nationally recognized pro wrestling journalist, not so much in breaking news, but in critiquing, recapping, reviewing shows, in hosting podcasts. I was on Cheap Heat. I did some things and in coverage of the big events. So I got pulled back in a little bit for this WrestleMania because I have acknowledged that I've been missing out on some big storyline moments in recent years, from the tribal chief himself, Roman Reigns, and that whole arc, through the incredible comeback story of Cody Rhodes, the real life comeback story. But I didn't want to miss some of this related to the Cena heel turn at Elimination Chamber, which had to wake up a lot of people that were tuned out or lapsed or what have you. And then the backlash against WWE since that point, where for what was it, 2 months? It just it didn't seem like, and I wasn't watching week to week, so I can't fully comment on this, but what people are telling me was it was just not the booking they wanted, not the build that they wanted. Why is Cena barely on TV when he's the centerpiece of this? Why did The Rock disappear completely after storyline wise being the fulcrum for the John Cena heel turn and the unanswered storyline of why they're even working together? Well, then they do 2 nights of WrestleMania. And this came after a week where TKO did this big PR victory lap where they took a lot of shots at people. It wasn't just like, look at us now, TKO Empire, WWE, we're on top. It was, some of it was a way to tell everybody, look, we recovered from the Vince McMahon stain and look at us now. Some of that was part of that. But you also had Triple H attacking the fan base, attacking the critical side of the fan base, who was like, they want their storylines to make sense. They don't want to feel like their time is being wasted, and saying, F them. We had to come to a point where we're not, programming for them. But those are your hardcore fans that will watch a product that is so overexposed because there's so many hours of programming that stance sucks. But I said, look, maybe they're at that point financially where they don't care, but it's WrestleMania and they still deliver. Is 2 nights too much for every year? Yeah, it is. Now they're doing 2 nights for SummerSlam coming up and 2 nights for Royal Rumble. I heard maybe. I mean, look, they're going to TKO-wise the shit out of this, like they're doing MMA right now, like they want to do in boxing, which means pull every freaking cent possible out of this. You saw that with the ticket prices coming in. But I suspended all of that because I'm not really into this that much to at least go as a fan. I got to see what everybody's talking about. So I watched the Saturday main event of the first night, the triple threat with Punk, Roman, and Rollins. And great theater. What you would expect out of a WrestleMania main event. Paul Heyman, a 10 out of 10 with his acting chops and physical performance. The swerve that happened there, everything. It was like, yeah, man, whether I'm going to watch it more after tonight or not, and I know a lot of people come back just for Mania. My guy Average Joe texted me that night, the same thing, like come back. A lot of people do. I did that first stretch. Whether or not this was going to make me want to care week to week, I respected it. But what happened Sunday night was disrespectful to the intelligence of wrestling fans who, make this their life, who give all that time. I mean, it's part of the thing that was such a relief to get out of covering pro wrestling because I couldn't half-ass it. It's one of those things that you got to go all in and you got to see everything if you're going to be a elite podcaster and care about this shit and have really critical opinions and write, stories critiquing booking decisions and that kind of stuff. And how about all those people who paid exorbitant prices? You think the raising of tickets in the UFC for London cards, it's not even comparable to what they did this past weekend in Vegas with the 2 nights. And I'm not even going to lump in the bad PR that came with a few of those interviews. Triple H saying F the fans, Nick Khan, doing the victory lap, Stephanie McMahon interviewing Dana White on her podcast and telling him she's got a no dirtbag rule. Okay. I mean, even the damn roast with everyone's favorite comedian, which God, if that video comes to light, I know they took everyone's cell phone, but it seemed ultra toxic in there, even though obviously that's the point in having a roast. But what I'm saying is like, F all of that stuff, even F the TKO business side of it. If you still give people what they expect, that's why I tuned in to see what was going to happen next. I wanted to be a part of the discussion. It looked fun. I haven't been in this in a while. But think about all those people that paid when I mean stupid money, I mean stupid money for WrestleMania seats. Like things didn't get doubled in price. They got jacked up to levels that people have never comprehended before. But the product's hot. It's a wild time. The people that can afford are going to pay. And they did. Did you see that video with Randy Orton signing autographs for those fans? And they're like, yeah, we had to pay like $30,000 combined for our tickets. And he's like, we're on the floor. They're like, no, we were back, but we were in. He was like, oh my God, that's, maybe some of that is secondary market. Maybe there's a lot of things connected to that. But if you really want to see a real video that really spells out the larger TKO issue in regards to how UFC right now is booking and pricing and how WWE is doing the same, the guys at MMA On Point, Luke Thomas referenced it on MK on Monday. They have a video about pay that is just incredibly well researched and done, as they always do, that not only pulls the year's worth of hypocritical comments from Dana saying how he never wants to be in a situation in UFC where they're pricing out the everyday fan, or him constantly dunking on boxing for years when now they're doing it worse than anybody. What they did over the weekend in Mania is, again, worse than everybody. But there's supply, there's demand. If people are paying it, they're going to do it, and they're going to show up to do the victory lap at the press conference after and say, like Dana says, new record for your live gate, blah, 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 blah. Nick Khan was right. Yeah. And they were. And there is an audience that they're finding in UFC that they also know in WWE that will pay that has that money. So if they can pull 66,000 into it, then, which they did for the attendance both nights, was it 66,000? Then again, there's only so much you can complain about. But what I always say, what you are allowed to complain about is whether they are insulting you in the way that they are presenting this obviously scripted and staged thing. I mean, can we get enough in 2025 of people tweeting at me, you sound like a child being angry about something that's obviously fake? Yeah, because I have a passion for the shows that I care about, whether they're scripted dramas on, HBO Max, or they're, a sitcom on CBS or something. Like, you should have pride that the things that you're going to give time to artistically, that they would not insult you. The finish on Sunday was awful. Travis Scott being involved again in an unexplained matter, just stealing the show, low blows being I get the morality of what the finish between Cena and Cody was trying to do, but it wasn't WrestleMania Night 2 main event. Not when you turn John freaking Cena heel in this like big moment where if he wins, he's going to pass Ric Flair on this mythical 17th title, the most all time. I mean, like, you're setting yourself up to have this moment. And then the damn Rock doesn't even show up or tweet about it. And it's just this ho-hum finish that kind of made sense in the storyline, but has plot holes the size of the holes in my underwear. Okay. And yes, I will be throwing them away after this final wear. I'm doing one more lap with them. All right. We had a great run. All right. Let's do it. I don't want to hear people say, because I used to do this shit every week. Okay. I don't want to hear people say, don't you know this is storytelling? Like, talk to me in 4 months when the storyline reaches here. Guys, it's WrestleMania. Like, I'm not saying every storyline has to conclude completely at WrestleMania, but that's a protein shake, Lazy Bell, okay? It's a protein shake, all right? All right, thank you. But what I'm saying ultimately is you can't have a Monday Night Raw finish on WrestleMania just so you can excitedly turn people back to Netflix, which will be your you see what we're going for the next night on Raw. Like, they programmed for Raw using WrestleMania, unacceptable. Giant pothole of The Rock on pothole 2, unacceptable. But then it spun into a lot more. This isn't just me wasting your time on this non-wrestling show complaining about wrestling booking. It does play into, in my opinion, the larger TKO narrative right now, which is like, fuck the fans, like straight up, fuck the fans. Like, they're not even our real customer. Our customer are the TV networks that are going to give us the amount, which is why if ESPN says we need 84 UFC cards a year, they're going to give them. And then their audience is the government contracts. If you all read enough MMA Draw with the great Zach Arnold and Kid Nate, you'll get that. John S. Nash does his own great reporting on that stuff too. Eric McGracken over there doing legal reporting too. Love those people that make hard shit easy for me to understand. They just really don't give an F about the fan. But this wasn't just one bad booking decision or BC, you missed it. You didn't interpret it right. Obviously, there's something larger going on, because then The Rock goes out of his way to try to, put out the PR fire and shows up on the Pat McAfee show the next day. This is already 2 days later. This is after Paul Heyman goes on the McAfee show, seemingly still drunk and high from the night before, and he eviscerates people in roast style, because they did the roast the night before, in ways that you can't say that on regular TV. So it was fun though, seeing until the deportation jokes, it was fun seeing McAfee and so nervous there and sweating, because he's the rebellious guy who's against the grain, even his own employers at ESPN, because he has editorial control, but yet he's like the biggest stooge and water carrier for TKO, and they use his show and his role as a broadcaster to control their narrative in a lot of ways, oftentimes under the veil of kayfabe, to their own detriment. Yet even I think Pat McAfee was like, what's going on here, when he has The Rock on, and The Rock doesn't come on to smooth it over for TKO or pro wrestling in general or John Cena or whatever. He does The Rock, Barry Horowitz, to himself to smooth it over for himself. And all of his excuses make zero sense. It only further exposes what probably really happened, because The Rock says Nick Khan called him before Elimination Chamber and says, we're not trending in the right direction. So they do the damn Cena heel turn. But then The Rock's like, yeah, sorry, guys, I'm out. Not going to be back for Mania or any of the build. I'm shooting 14 movies. And they allow this massive plot hole, which exposes for sure that there's legitimate trouble between Triple H and the old guard bookers and The Rock, who's using his leverage on the TKO board to come in and throw his weight around an F-ish up. Maybe because the Black Adam thing exposed a lot of what he's now not doing right in Hollywood after a run where he was, the biggest star for a bit and on top. And some of his own self-forced errors seem to be catching up with him. Well, they're catching up with him now too. So I don't absolve WWE or Triple H or for that awful booking decision, but it's clear that there's some major drama going on that has effed it up for everybody. And while sometimes, right, in boxing, for too much, we focus on the business and the soap opera that comes with that, because sometimes that's the only thing going on news-wise. We want the big fights, but to get the big fights, these soap opera things have to play out. Sometimes in pro wrestling, like the Montreal Screwjob, the real life stuff is more interesting than the stuff going on in the ring. And when done right, like Vince could always do, you could take that storyline it as well and make it double real. This is the kind of the opposite, that the stuff going on behind the scenes, maybe like the Vince Russo late 90s, early 2000s, last days of WCW, with how out of control the work shoot got on that regard. This is just to the detriment of the product, the entertainers, the intelligence of the fans, but most importantly now with this TKO takeover, the extreme wallet gouge of the fans. I know everyone's saying, BC, you should have watched Raw the next night. It put everything back in order. And how about that Orton RKO on Cena? And how about this? The storylines make a little bit more sense now, but it's really not enough to make me want to care like I was hoping to. So there it was. You got a few minutes of me complaining. It's disappointing. All is not well in TKO land. It's why I think we have questions about what's the boxing thing going to look like. Is it going to be better for the sport, the fighters, or anyone besides Ari? Where are we going with this? I don't know. But let me close this door. You just touch gloves.
You just touch gloves. Why do you need to touch the gloves again? You just touch gloves.
All right. It's disheartening. Don't tell me to wait and see storyline wise. It's freaking WrestleMania. Okay. Don't tell me that shit. All right. Whatever. It's pro wrestling. This is why we can't have nice things. This is why I can't stay a fan. That's it. Okay. All right. J Ray, what do you got to say about it? BC, not that I agree with the dusty finish, but the crowd in the arena ate up that match. We're clearly cheering for Cena to win. They did eat up that match. Cena was supposed to be the heel, but they decided to cheer him, and suddenly you're getting Rock versus Hogan vibes from WrestleMania 18. But what did those two legends and professionals do, Rock and Hogan? Well, Hogan was probably whispering the N-word, to be fair, but no, they played into that and they adjusted their roles and used that to their benefit. This match didn't work, and I think, personally, I think some of that is, even though they have, to make Cena's heel turn make some kind of sense, they've altered his wardrobe and presentation, but it's not enough. Meaning, Ariel actually had a really good take about this on his show. I saw it on Twitter about how, the whole Cena heel vibe thing, especially when he's doing kayfabe interviews on McAfee or kayfabe interviews on the post WrestleMania show, it's not really all that believable. Like, he should have been, in my opinion, in pinstripe suits. He should have been full corporate. That would be a lot easier to accept and understand. Maybe that would have helped to some degree. But even if the crowd does that, you still have to execute. Their execution was Travis Scott and a low blow. I get there's the morality clause, but come on. No, come on. Come on. Okay. There we go. This is the issue, DJ Serenity. Now, TK was turning all of its enterprises into soulless money churning machines. Yes. That's why I started crying about the watered down matchmaking a year ago. And people are like, what are you talking about? It's still really fun, dude. Just enjoy it. It's like, well, I see where it's going, guys. Okay. I don't like it. I've been here before in the other combat sports. I've been abused enough in boxing. I've been abused enough in pro wrestling over the years to know what I'm looking at. They took something, TKO, they took something that post-pandemic was on freaking fire. And instead of building up, it was, okay, how do we now pay off this extreme debt that we used to pay for it? But how do we now extract every freaking drop at the expense of the product? Because we don't care. All right. And then you can build a narrative of F the media, which the UFC's done that better than anybody. Now WWE's softly doing that. Well, not really. I mean, maybe not, but like, sort of like F the internet for being critical. Who are they? It's that much percentage of the audience. It's really not, by the way. I don't want to see that happen continuously now in UFC. I don't want to go down this road. But until people are not buying the tickets, nothing at all is going to change. All right. Don't the venue set the ticket prices? The promotion just gets a site fee. Not really. Watch the MMA on Point video. It shows the truth behind, dynamic pricing and how when there's more demand for these cards, then the tickets can go even higher. And I'm not saying this isn't done in boxing. Why does boxing have ridiculously high record live gates? Because they play to a Vegas crowd in which they know the casinos are going to buy a great deal of it. Celebrities are going to buy a great deal of it. The high rollers, like the people with money, are going to make sure they're at those fights. I get that. But UFC and now WWE has priced out the casual fan at just a level that it's obscene. And, how many of these tickets are getting swallowed up by secondary markets to just resell for 5 times the amount anyway. I mean, there's a major issue here. Okay, there you go. Ham sandwich, and we're gonna shut this conversation down in a second. But he should have gone the JBL route. You're right, not the cowboy route, but the on the move. Not even like the fake movie star look, just the straight up corporate, because that's kind of what John Cena's always been. I mean, who has played their cards better all time corporately than that guy? Maybe Hogan at the top. Maybe that's it, right? Like it's been, yeah. And I agree with you. Shout out those guys. I didn't know much about them or watch their comment. Then we go to the London live show. They invite us to collab with them, and they're the greatest dudes. Jason, Bailey, and my guy. I mean, come on. Tommy Toehold. Then I start watching their content. I'm like, oh, this is really good, I mean, there's always a top 10 ranking of something you forgot that ever happened. But when they want to get into the investigative work, they scour the globe. They do good shit right there. Support what they got going on, okay? And yes, 9:15 a.m. The ticket problem is more widespread than just combat sports. It's all sporting and entertainment events have a ludicrous price increase. No question about that. And it's not as if tickets have never, Pearl Jam suing Ticketmaster back in the day. Like this is, some of these aren't new topics. But when all you're doing is seemingly selling the brand, pulling back the sizzle, raising the prices, and selling the consistency of the brand, but not fully backing it up, it's why I would get mad when International Fight Week cards suddenly weren't those, oh my God, super card blockbusters. Damn, I might even fly out there on my own dime and see it type of thing. When you start pulling back on that, well, you're gonna start doing that now on Mania. You have two nights of shows, like 6-7 hours a piece. We were complaining 4 years ago when the card would be like 8 or 9 hours. We go 2 nights and you just water it down. It's the same ish. Okay, it's the same damn ish. All right. Theo Adams, where did you eat in San Diego? A lot of the best eating I did in Old Town at the Mexican restaurants there. I also did some good eating at was it Puesto? Down in the heck is that area called? Down next to the Midway Museum, that whole area down there. Incredible stuff. Okay. I had some great meal in Gaslamp District, had some great meals at the Italian place there. It was awesome. It was really just awesome. Jayers, the WWE has become just like the UFC. The product is soulless, boring uniforms, crappy walkout music, etc. Yeah. And then we got Turkey and Dana in the front row. I get it. They're playing to their strengths and calling out their partnerships there, but it's like WrestleMania opened with a little skit and performance that was only meant to promote Turkey's video game. Okay, but like it's not just that. It's every turnbuckle now in the ring. It's every inch of space. It's just, and they effed over Bailey with the booking. Not that did he really care? We don't care anymore. Enough of this. I don't really actually care that much. But it just pissed me the heck off because I saw it coming a mile away and now it's here and there's still people being loyal to the brand saying, that's not what happened. It's you. I feel like you should, if you care about something, an art form, a genre, a TV show, a movie series, people are like, we don't need online critics there. Really? I care about this issue, all right? I want to see it done right, but there is some good going on. Heyman joining with Seth, adding Braun Breaker of the Steiner lineage. I'm very happy for Seth that he got that kind of push. When are we? I mean, one day before these guys are 40, can we do Seth and Roman one-on-one in the Mania main event? Not double main event, not 2 nights, one night Mania main event straight up for all the marbles. Let's have our own Austin and Rock rivalry. The storyline's there, okay? I know they had a triple threat there, but come on, do it. All right. WWE is going to mess up AAA. I mean, they're probably going to save it at first financially, but yeah, then you mess it up. I mean, if they buy NJPW, if some of those rumors come true, then is this TKO just really aiming to just shut down every outlet for competition within their own monsopsony? It's going to be like the cruise buffet, guys. It tastes so good. You're in the Windjammer on Royal Caribbean. It tastes so good for like 2.5, 3 days. But eventually you'll realize that everything tastes the same. It's all made out of the same ingredients, and they're going to repackage it the next day. Is that what we want across, if we care about all 3 combat sports? Is that what we want across all 3? The same flavor provider at the same pricing, at the same this, at the same that? I know you can just say, well, it's not that easy. Start up your own promotion. But that's why journalists complain about monopolies and monsopsonies, because it's almost impossible in a lot of ways when there's this much level of control. But when it's going good, I'm not going to complain. Am I complaining about the turkey card coming up on July 12th? No. Am I complaining about Times Square? No. But I'm also not going to miss. You know who had a great tweet? And I think he was talking about the government and Trump, and that's his political opinion, right? I'm not necessarily going that road. But Marcos Viejos of Fight Hub TV had a tweet timed so interesting where I was literally like, is he talking about Dana, Trump, Turkey, Hegseth, or what? I thought he was talking about Turkey and all them, but it was really just about the whole idea of, if you're a Star Wars nerd, of Palpatine, about how he also came looking like he's going to clean up and control and take over everything in a good way. But when your ulterior motives are majorly different than that of the fan base, it's gonna get sour. It's gonna get sour. Okay. All right. I'm wondering that in this TKO takeover. I hope it's not. They might win the whole thing. Wow. All right. Do I have more topics? Yeah, let me run these out here. Then I'll get where you're going. Then I get where you're after right here. Quickly, the Jones Aspinall thing is getting bad. First, you had Chael saying it's done. Now, Chael Sonnen is typically connected. He'll be off. He'll miss things sometime, but he's one of those guys that he'll throw enough out there that one of those are going to go in. You got to understand he's talking to people. Him saying, oh, Jones Aspinall's fine, and it's great, and the date's already ready, and, everything's going to be good. And you're like, okay, well, it really should be. It's obvious that they're going to give John the time to do the camp that he wants. It would make sense for NYC. They can have another record gate, jack up those prices. Look, it's Jones Aspinall. We'd finally get it. Should it be at the freaking Allegiant Stadium? Yeah. That's the one thing that WWE did pull off very well in that huge dome, as they always do. In the big moments, and the moments that did hit, it's awesome in there. I hope Dana felt that in night 1, because he only went to night 1 of Mania, and felt it enough to be like, okay, we should put Connor here if he ever comes back. And did you see Connor, by the way, react to that tweet showing the full stadium Wrestlemania and say, I'm only coming back to fight Chandler in a stadium? I actually supported that. Like, yeah, push them on that, because those fights should be there. But let's say Jones Aspinall is MSG. It's still freaking MSG. It's the fight we need. Can we stop holding up everything? Let's just do it. But then I got scared when Ariel yesterday, I saw a clip, Jedi Goodman, right? He always has the goods. Jedi Goodman, never met the guy, but I probably go to his page more than anybody else on the X, right? The guy's curating for the masses. He shows the Ariel clip where he's like, I'm hearing that it's all on the 1 yard line, but if it doesn't get done, it's not the UFC's fault. And there is an issue, and it won't be, according to Ariel sources, that the UFC did not try as hard as they possibly could. Now, I don't know what that actually means, financially. How far do they go? I don't know. But that was like, oh, then is this really a John just not wanting to risk the O that is not really an O because of the DQ, but you get my point? Or is it They gave a lot of money, but they didn't give his number. It's hard to really know because when people negotiate through the media like that, or in this case, it was sourced. So you never know. You never know on that. Are they still pushing back and forth? But then Chael changes the story and says, no, I actually heard something completely different. Jones Aspinall is a no, and they got Aspinall gone, ready to go for the full title. And that would be really, really bad. I'm hoping that this is public negotiation. I'm hoping that, the UFC was behind the sourcing that led to Ariel Herring. And basically that if this fight is at the 1 yard line, but they've hit their limit of what they'll pay. And now it's just up to Jones to answer. And that's on him to a certain degree, right? But it's on him. But the timing sucks because it's been stretched out so long, but it's on John to take it or not. Then maybe this is the thing threatening that Gon's going to come in and take it. It's the old UFC move. Then maybe that's just what it is. And we're still going to get this. But we are at the point now. All right. Brody Murat says Turkey is going to buy Jed Goodman's account like he did Michael Benson. He probably should. He probably should at this point. All right. But we are at the point where this has been so dragged out because John took the 3 years off. Because John, not his fault, got injured after beating up on Gon, and he had to sit out a year and a half, and then they were still willing to push that Stipe fight off even a year longer, which, God, they have dragged this out so long that I don't have sympathy for the UFC, and they still will, if this falls apart, will deserve to be blamed. Because it has stretched out so much that if it is coming down to money, I don't care about the precedent. Jones is a once in a generation, once in a history of a promotion talent anyway. So break the damn precedent for that. You can't afford the PR right now, in my opinion. Well, they don't care about that, right? They're getting the big deal of whoever they're signing with next, and it's all about hitting those content numbers. That's why Dana pushed through the pandemic. What, because he was too antsy at home for COVID? I mean, yeah, that's maybe part of it. Another part of it is Dana doesn't like to be told no. But I guarantee you he doesn't fight that fight if it's not exclusively about meeting the minimum ESPN amount of dates to get the payment that stirs the drink for them from ESPN. If the Gon thing happens, you will have held up and ruined the heavyweight division. You would have held up and threatened to ruin Aspinall's arc. I mean, let's not forget, we don't actually really know who Aspinall is. Like, we don't actually really know because he's just chopped through these MFers. But he's had to just sit back in his prime and be like, come on, what do I have to do? And then John will have done, even if he's pulling out because, and again, we don't know the specifics, but what if they effed him over financially in the debate? I don't know where we're at with that. But because it's waited so long, I don't have sympathy for the players involved. Yes, this will be a stain that will be on John Jones's resume. Will it linger enough where it comes up in the first or second sentence when people talk about him? I don't know. And again, should it? How much should it take away? You can argue. Your mileage may vary, as Luke Thomas would say. But why would you want to be, if you're anyone, be a part of what comes with this if they don't make this fight? And if they do Gon, and yeah, Aspinall's, I mean, it's okay, if it's a decent fight, Aspinall's probably going to roll him. Okay, then he's the real champion, but who did he beat? Well, he beat everybody he had the chance to. But it's like when you have this obvious slam dunk. I think this conversation plays into now the developments of the last 24 hours and Ilia Topuria tweeting cryptically that camp has started. And, Ariel's reporting that it will be UFC 317, June 28th, International Fight Week. It will be in some form, Ilia, who says he was promised not an interim title shot, a full title shot. So what we think we know is that maybe this is going public now to put the pressure on Islam to shit or get off the pot, to sign, yes, or you're going to have to give up the belt and move up to welterweight and not wait on the results of JDM Bilal if you really don't want to fight this guy. And if that's the way we go to, then that's the UFC's right. It's the best fight you can make. It's sitting right in your lap right now. Chimaev DDP would have been a great IFW main event. But I don't, maybe this is the MMA gods, the same MMA gods that saved Nate Diaz, from getting ripped up by Hamzat, right? I mean, was that the MMA gods or was a deal offered to to Hamzat to miss weight on purpose? I don't know. We're getting conspiratorial here. But the MMA gods made sure that Nate didn't take that unnecessary beating on the way out. And they preserved him to take on other things like Fan Mio's Jorge Masvidal. That got me paid, although I had to work for that. I had to work for that shit. Oh, I had to work for that. What about, like, I think Ilya Islam now has to happen because imagine if November is Aspinall gone at MSG and we don't get Ilya Islam. And it's not that, like, if Islam just says, you know what, I'm 33, my window's small, I want to be an all-timer, so I'm going up anyway. I'm not going to fight that guy. It sucks. It's not a blatant duck in the Canelo Benavidez lane. It's a duck, though. There's a quack happening. Even if they promised him secretly before that he could move up, and maybe they're stalling. I'm not reporting anything. I'm trying to create scenarios that may justify a potential decision here from Islam. Even with that, though, the replacements aren't bad. I mean, if it's Sarukian versus Ilya for the belt at IFW, okay. Oliveira versus, we're gonna win regardless there. But you've got this window where even with the PR, which I don't think they care about at freaking all, because the checks are clearing, the government contracts are signing, like, business is booming. But what would it say about you if you're in an era where there is a star issue? We can't clean up Conor enough to even take a fight, and everything's down and the morale's down, and we can't get Ilya Islam, the best fight you can make, and the big fight that we all deserve to get. And we deserve to get it in a freaking stadium. Stand up and speak what needs to be spoken, people. Does it really matter? No. I mean, I would take it in the freaking apex if I had to. I'd take it in the back if I no Diddy. All right? No. I'd take it, though. I'd take one for the team. No, what are we even talking about anymore? Here's what we're talking about. Do the right thing. I hope we get them both because we deserve them. If this is public pressure and public thing, then let's sign that dotted line. At some point, John's gonna have to say, this is enough money, or it's not. But, like, enough of this bullshit. This is boxing. You rip on boxing all the time, Dana, but you have become boxing. And I don't say that with a teabag dunk where I win anything. What do I win? I win more complaining and talking in a circle on my own podcast. Okay, that's what I win. I want to really win, though. We deserve these fights. Let's freaking go. So Ilya's training for somebody. I hope Islam goes, you know what, F it. I'm trying to be great. I'm the best damn fighter in the world. I am from Dagestan. I ain't Habib's little brother. I'm better than him. Bring on Ilya. That's for the people right there, okay? Let's get Jones Aspinall for the people. I'm serious. You want people to, I mean, again, they don't care who complains. But if you want your favorite podcasts that have a soul to stop complaining, these are the efforts and things you can do. It's not just to get people to stop complaining. It would also freaking sell. It would also wake up the masses. It would be the lead story on SportsCenter around that week. Like, it would be, you know what I'm saying? Make the big fights when they're available. Let's go. Let's go. Okay. All right. Let's hear from the people. We gotta cleanse the palate here. All right. Wow. You don't know what it's like to sit in the MK studio next to Luke when he's doing one of these long-winded rants aimed at one Twitter follower, but speaking to the masses, right? Oh, it's rough. It's rough. All right. I got to be the deliverer this time, and it's rough too. Okay. All right. I mean, you can't handle the speed.
He can't handle your speed, son.
Thank you, Freddie. All right. Hooah. Quickly from J. Ray BO2, Islam should not be forced to fight a featherweight or get stripped. Guys, he's a lightweight now. He's a freaking lightweight right now. Enough of this featherweight talk. Guys move up all the time. All right? He's a lightweight now. And I'm sorry, I'm not going to count Volkanovski as a featherweight. He was the #1 fighter in the world, dared to be great, and almost beat Islam in the first damn fight. Stop this, like all he does is beat up on little guys. No. Okay, you want to make arguments against like Tank maybe hasn't done what we would expect of him. I'll entertain that argument. All right, Islam is great. Be great. Act great. Be the great guy. Take the chance. They're going to pay you for it too, okay? I'm sorry, but that's completely unfair and makes no business sense. You're saying it would make no business sense to put him in a position to have to move up or be stripped. I said it on MK the other day. I'll say it again. It's a boxing move. It's a big time boxing move. But I'd even not hate it if it was Islam against somebody else in the main event. Heck, give me Sarukian. Heck, give me Gaethje. Like there's options, right? And then Topuria in the co-main versus insert the most difficult lightweight possible. Could be anyone. But the idea is, after that, we're going to do it. Because then Topuria will have earned it. And make him have to earn it. Make him have to freaking earn it. And maybe we don't get it. Maybe that does lead Islam to go, all right, but he's going to have that on him. All right, it'll be time for Topuria to fight for the belt against somebody. I don't want that to happen, but I'm giving give it to you as a possibility because at least the division has names, even with all these old guys. If stripping talk comes into play, that means Islam is moving up. Only thing it does, and it's his right to. Just like I thought it was Topuria's right to move up. Do what you want to do. Okay. Yes, the promotion can try to say no, but that's your battle with them. They're not going to stand in your way. Free speech is allowed in the UFC. Hold on, Reggie's back. I got to close this door. All right. I mean, come on. Can we get fired up? Is anybody here fired up, or are you just here?
Jim, I gotta tell you something. Are these guys Russian or are they just in a hurry?
All right. Thank you, Harold Letterman. Thank you so much. RIP to that fantastic gentleman. The floor is open. The dance floor is open. So come original. Bring your questions to the BC. All right. We're going to do it. We're going to do it. Itchy nose. Reggie. All right. Reggie J is here. He's ready. He's excited. Let's hear from the people, Reggie. All right, let's do it. I've been picking apart a few of those. Remix. Thoughts on the playoffs, BC, so far, if you've watched any NBA playoffs. I have not tuned in yet. For better or worse, probably for worse. I'm probably missing out on some good stuff. Last couple of years, I've been conference finals and finals guy. I never thought I'd end up there. I used to be a guy that would tape almost, a ton of the amount of games I taped in the 90s and early 2000s is just ridiculous. I haven't gotten there yet. I'm in the Celtic City doc. I mean, it's really the worst name for a doc that good ever, but I'm in it right now. And then I'm going to be ready to come over. I don't get down with the one night play-in tournament things, the unnecessary middle of the season tournament. What are we, PFL here? I don't get down with where they're going right now, but I will be because there's stars, there's storylines. This does matter to me. The elite version of this era's ball is flawed, but it is fun. It is incredible. It is. The numbers are insane. I mean, it's the rule changes fueled that. The elite athletes fueled that. Performance enhancing drugs fueled that. All right. There we go. Thank you. Sydney Frankenstein. Thank you for your support of this fine podcast or this long podcast. Appreciate your commentary. Support to you and LT. Thank you. I do toy with that too. Don't think I don't. I'm a businessman. I'm a provider. It's not easy to have dreams to be doing things in the broadcasting lane, but have responsibilities, whether to your own moral / journalistic code or to the labels that pay you to be the type of journalist you feel like you're supposed to be. And I often don't feel like a journalist. I feel like a entertainer / I'll write a feature. I'll write an opinionated column. That's fine. Whatever. I float between there. But, I often have those days where I'm like, man, maybe I should just shut the hell up. Maybe I should put myself more in line to get that job that's going to pay me for 20 to 30 years doing exactly what I want to do. Am I risking it because I'm trying to just give what I think is the truth in print on CBS or on Morning Combat? I might be. But I want to also kill that fruit fly. I want to also live with myself within that. All right. I want to be true to myself. That's going to annoy regular listeners who are done with us complaining. Maybe you're done with this show being about pro wrestling and complaining. It's possible. But I'd rather be true to who I am and tell the truth and not compromise everything I do because I can't say this or that about whomever. I want to be smart, but I want to be honest. I want to be fair. This cat deserves it. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Sheldon Smith. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you. All right. BC for president. There we go. Okay. There it is. Rich P, top tier gentleman right there. What was your favorite part, BC, of San Diego? If we're calling all of the general surrounding area there, if we're going to accept San Diego proper and the adjacent territories to a certain degree, then La Jolla was what I was not prepared for. La Jolla is Beverly Hills with a beach. I mean, it is not that I need that elegant extreme vibe or that I prefer paying for that vibe, but had a nice late afternoon night visit there where I mean, it was the best gelato I've ever had, but you're going there for the sunset on the beach, the seals and the sea lions. It was absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. And it came on the same day that we had hiked the Torrey Pines Nature Reserve, which is right on the ocean and takes you at the bottom right down to there. That's some of the most beautiful S I've seen in a long time. That was the peak moment of the trip right there. Shout out to Torrey Pines. Shout out to La Jolla. Great stuff right there. Yeah. Did like the shit out of the Midway Museum, the aircraft carrier there in San Diego. That was great. That was great. BC, you see any beaches? Yes. Went to Mission Beach on an overcast day. Dirty as heck. Not fun. Not great. Went to Coronado Island on the best, hottest, most beautiful day. Walking those beaches, even though the water, due to an overflow from the Tijuana River of sewage that leaked, you can't go in the water at that point. Don't drink the water. Dave Matthews was right. There's blood in the water. That's some of the most beautiful beaches down there in Coronado that this great country offers outside of Hawaii. Although I can't comment on it, we would need Daz to mahalo us or Telvin, Big Papa, Key Papa. I guess I drove near other beaches, hit the scenic rides, Point Loma, that whole stretch there. Loved it. Absolutely loved it. I mean, I love Southern California. I love California. Man, it's not sustainable to live there, to survive there, to a lot of things there. And those earthquakes are scary as F, but you feel what you feel. I feel it. So there's something there. I feel it. Okay. I feel it. Thank you. All right. Jumping in real quick, Dylan Hager. Dylan Hager is a fantastic pro wrestling fan. It's my guy right there, an independent savant. Jumping in real quick while at work, did you catch any clips of the Minoru Suzuki versus Butterbean quote-unquote fight over the Mania weekend? Absolute dumpster fire. Yes, they had a very stiff pro wrestling match, and obviously the Bean is, even though he got himself in shape, I think he did DDP yoga, right, and got himself in shape when he was at a point where it was going to get unsafe. So credit him for that. Yeah, this was a limited work rate event. Butterbean had some big bags upstairs. He had some big boobs right there. But shout out to him for being a part of it. I hope people like some form of the nostalgia. It's always going to be a question, a potential problem, whether 58-year-old Mike Tyson boxes or somebody wrestles when they maybe can't anymore or shan't anymore. I saw a 70-year-old Luke from the Bushwhackers in Sheep Herders fame. I saw him in an indie show back in 2017. And, he made his limitations work for him for 70 years old. I mean, it was sad. It was gross, but he kind of pulled it off in a way. The clips I saw didn't look like they were pulling off much here, but I also popped for seeing the clip. Like, oh my God, they did that. Like, okay. But I didn't go anywhere past the big Mania matches. I didn't even watch the whole Mania cards. I didn't catch anything else. I'm not even up on AEW. I'm barely in. Okay. I'm barely in. Sheldon Smith, that was Reggie, the Reginator. Although Zoe, you got to, Zoe's going to do what Zoe's going to do. She may be in this office for 5 days in a row and then not come back for 5 months. That she's. There's been rumors that she has used me her entire life, but I'm to some degree I'm compliant in that relationship. All right, is this weird yet? Here we go. Serenity now. Don't sell yourself short, BC. Thank you. I'm 6'1.5" barefoot. Half of MMA journalists don't nearly as well as you or Luke. Thank you. I hope we first and foremost tell our truths at all times. 2, do right by the code of ethics of moral journalism to whatever degree we're willing to uphold it. But 3, just not, look, sometimes you have to, I'm not going to lie, sometimes you have to adhere to corporate sponsorships or partnerships and soften maybe your critique, but still be honest. But I don't ever want to be in a position where I'm straight up lying to you guys because I'm hoping for a phone call. Like, that's not, that don't feel good. That's not the right way to do this job, in my opinion. But it's sort of like, you guys probably get these same solicitors DMing you on Instagram. They're like, hey, your channel's dynamic. I could help you, though, take it to the next level. Here, I'll buy you islands worth of bots and exposure. And I'm like, hey, that's cool. Thanks. But, I'm not going to take PEDs as an athlete, even though I probably should to compete out there, but I'm not going to do that. And I'm not going to do that in terms of my gig. I don't really care, first and foremost, but second of all, I remember the big boom of boxing writers buying Twitter followers back in like 2014 and 15. And it was always obvious when it happened. I'm just like, I don't want to win that way. Whatever. Let me cheat on my text. No, I don't want to win that way either. Let me, where do I just give up the moral code? Oh, yeah, my humor and MK. Okay, that's where I'll lose the moral code, but that'll come back the rest of the day, okay? How do you lose your moral code, ham sandwich? I just get a lot of massages from local singles and hot moms. Hey, your man's got to do in that case, I guess, what he's got to do. Brody Moretta's here. BC, do you think Vince is petty enough to team up with Tony Khan, Vinnie Mac showing up on AEW programming? It's a great question. Because if you watch the Vince McMahon doc and if you followed the soap opera of the McMahons over their lifetime, it's clear that Vince loves WWE as well as or more the people, the family members of his life. Like that, this is not breaking news. It's pretty clear, right? This guy's an insane workaholic. Watch my breakdown of that Netflix documentary because I think the theme we were supposed to take was how traumatized and broken this man was and still is. But his refusal to deal with that, his willingness to just run with it, run away from it and work and pump his whole life into this toy. I would find it hard for him to burn the boats and do that against that, especially with his daughter in a high-arcing corporate spot. And maybe even more importantly, his, wife, even though they're, separated / estranged, to have a role in the Trump administration. There's not the right time for all of them for something like this to happen. I don't think at the end of the day he would do that. I think he would 100%. And you've heard some rumors, whether it be there was a rumor for a bit that he might do his own pro wrestling thing on Big Fox. Then there was a rumor that he might be talking to BKFC. I mean, who knows where he's going to throw his money at something, and he will. He definitely will. He's petty enough to compete. Yes. But I don't think he's petty enough to compete this aggressively and to be the Vince from 84, 85, 86. No. And I thought it was interesting when Shane McMahon was sort of leaking that he had been meeting with Tony Khan. I don't know under the grounds of what that would have been, but that was interesting. There was also that time where we thought, you'd hear the rumors during the TKO, the takeover of WWE during the purchase and all that. Like, could this drive Triple H out? Or what if Triple H gets linked with the Vince accusations and gets accused of not telling what he knew? Could he be removed? And it's like, what if he went booking over there with Tony Khan? Like, it's always that romanticized thing for somebody to cross the street here and do it in such a spite-filled way. But I don't think Vince would do this. I don't know, unless he hit full rock bottom. He's pretty close to rock bottom. I mean, he's not really because he still has the funds. If you still have the funds and you're someone like him, you ain't at rock bottom because ultimately you don't care about your reputation. But it's interesting. It's very interesting. Yeah. All right. Let's keep it going. Okay. AAHS. Great to get some pro wrestling talk out of BC again. It feels good to be back and at least know enough about something where I'd feel comfortable having a voice. I'm throwing around ideas on this lane. We'll see what happens. All right. We'll see what happens. Not going to be hardcore again. It's not good for anyone's health. But it does inform my following of TKO. You know, is this good for us or not? I don't know that answer yet. Okay. Keith Thurman can cut a better promo than most WWE wrestlers today. That's actually a great fact. Keith Thurman can sell a fight. Keith Thurman is hilarious. I think in long term, he would be a good broadcaster too. I got to work with him once at PBC. He's still in his adjustment phase, but I thought he did good work in the studio on Fox with Sean Porter. And I do think matched with the right people, he could be a very good color commentator because he's charming, charismatic, articulate. That job, he probably just need more reps, but, where's this phone at? I don't know anymore. Okay. Thank you. I've been starring a few of these. Let's hear it. Zanny Pacquiao. I am an Ian Gary fan, but the way he smirks at the camera gives I just shit in your bed and you don't know it yet. He does give those vibes. And I know people really don't want me to throw away my whatever reputation I might think I have in this game as suddenly being an overnight IMG super fan, which I'm not, but I'm enamored by his swagger, confidence, and how much I believe he's ready to level up even more than he leveled up in a defeat. I know we can't act like he didn't win. No, he didn't win against Shavkat, and it wasn't injured Shavkat. I'm understanding to all of those principles, but it solved in me whatever thing I had that was holding me back from believing in him. And I don't believe in him yet that like it's a slam dunk he's going to become champion or be this or be that. I just know now that he's of this ilk to compete for one and give it his best shot and that he's better than we realize. But yeah, he's going to act the part of cool Dick from the 80s high school teen movie. You know, he's going to be Johnny in the Karate Kid. Like that's who he is at the end of the day. Right. But I have to say, I'm impressed by certain parts of his not presentation, but I guess his backbone, his care level, his work ethic, a lot of things. All right. He's got to figure out how to finish elites though. That's for sure. That is for sure. Ham sandwich. Why does Spence hate Thurman? Because, hey buddy, because here's the deal. Spence felt when he was on his way up and looking to truly make his mark among the elite welterweights in the PBC and get the big opportunities that he deserved, he felt that Thurman wanted nothing to do with him and went out of his way to not want to fight him and said bad things about him. And to some degree, Spence got to a point where he was like, F that guy. Once I inevitably get above him, because don't forget, Thurman was the old guard of the PBC welterweights, but there was a point before his career, I guess, fell apart due to inactivity, injuries, where, you know, when he was still undefeated, he had the best resume of all those welterweights at one point. When you beat Prime Porter, Prime Danny Garcia like that, they'll give it to you. Thurman should have got a Floyd fight that he didn't get. So it wasn't like he always got, you know, treated greatly. I felt though like he was playing that veteran role of like, I'm not gonna. It's kind of what Jones is trying to do to Aspinall to some degree of like, or even what Islam's trying to do to Elia of like, young guy, you haven't earned it yet. You know, wait till you're really ready to stand across from me. But Spence held that shit grudge and basically said, well, I'll get to the top, which he did shortly after. And suddenly he had the best resume of all at 147 and still does. It's become now an interesting fight. Even if Thurman loses to Zoo, at this point, at his age, I think we just want a credible challenge out of Thurman. Put himself in a spot to have a chance to win. But let's say he impresses for his age in a loss there. That's still a nice fight on the Spence comeback trail. I don't know the level of opponent Spence is going to come back with when he finally does come back, but it does still seem like he is. There was a brief rumor about him going to 47 fighting Barrios. I don't see how he's going to make that weight or why he should anymore. I think the weight was an issue against Crawford. I think it kind of goes without saying. It doesn't absolve him from the one-sided beating that he took or take away from Crawford. I think it can be both things at once. But I don't know if he's just going to come back and fight Fundora and, potentially cash out or have a shot to become the power player in the division, or if it's going to take time. Older Thurman, especially if he does come off a loss to Zoo, could be a perfect opponent there. And it would tie up loose ends on their resumes for whatever that's worth. Sometimes I like that tidy order to get back underway there and ordered. All right. Let me chip away here. Marc Antoine Dosalt, Barriot, French Canada, Quebec, right? My brethren, right? He knows about the tortilla. I'm sure he does. Yo, BC. Thanks, Reg. I've listened to OK Computer again. Maybe the best album of the 90s, right? Maybe. And it's growing on me slowly. That's the only way it's going to happen. MAD. Okay. Really like the song The Tourist. Great closer. Fantastic closer. And that's probably not even in the top 5 of that album of my favorite songs, but it's weird that song isn't about, or that album isn't about individual songs. It's arguably the most cohesive concept album of modern popular music, where yes, you were able to take out Karma Police as a rock single, but the fact that the best songs on there didn't get that type of radio popularity, and the fact that it all flows together to tell the same story. Now, trying to understand that story, you might be talking about 45 listens on that album, you know what I mean? And your interpretations may vary, but how about just trying to understand it sonically and how it all flows? I really, even though I haven't researched the connection, I really feel like it's been influenced by The Wall to some degree. And if in fact Radiohead is our Pink Floyd, which could be true, probably is true, this could be the magnum opus. Now, right now in my brain, it's In Rainbows, maybe followed by Kid A, but it's only going to take another listen for this to go back at number 1. I'm appreciative of you for enduring the Pepsi challenge. If there really is any album that I will recommend or do recommend or have or will continue to, that would demand this type, like this, there's very few, but it's worth it. It really is. All right. Shit's art. Okay. That's what I'm talking about. Devin Tuck is here. Thank you for supporting me. And this is a great question. One we've pondered before. All right. Hold on. I just gotta respond to this text. Stay with me here. Stay with me. All right. Okay. It'd be a lot different. The money changed everything from that fight. I still feel like to some degree he probably needed the break he took with his first child on the way after Eddie Alvarez. He was running so high and heavy and hard in 2014 and 15 to 2014, so 15 and 16. In 15 and 16 to really become everything he was trying to become, the biggest star of all time. He was aiming for ownership in the UFC, and if anyone ever had a case for it at that point, the mountaintop moment he walked himself into against Eddie Alvarez, the turning the negative of the last minute loss to Nate Diaz into this great redemptive positive, the 2 biggest fights at the time, I think, in the history of the sport or in the top 3 at that moment. So he was fighting hurt and stretching out injuries in ways that it leads to monster breakdowns. So let's say he takes off even all of 2017. He would go on to fight Floyd at the end of 2017. He would fight Habib in 18. But let's say after what was it, November of 16, UFC 205, champ Eddie Alvarez finish. As Reggie's just dismantling things over here. Reggie, all right? He knocked over Hogan. I think this might be an editorial statement from Reggie. All right, with it might be, and it might be due. All right, it might be deserved. All right. Hold on, response here. But if he had taken all of 17 off, he wouldn't have had the title anymore. But he could have come back. I mean, the could have part is really about the mindset. Is he able to have the whiskey success without the Floyd fight? I mean, the Floyd fight took him from combat sports all-time level of fame to, Mike Tyson, Bo Jackson, Michael Jordan for a brief time levels of household fame. But if that doesn't happen, he's going to have to be active. He's going to have to still rely on making that money inside the cage. Now, the Habib fight would have been inevitable, and maybe we would have gotten a couple of them. And even if he had lost both, which he probably would have, is there still a scenario after that? Let's say he loses twice to Habib in 2018. Let's say that happens. Now, let's say he beats Nate in a trilogy and, to kick off 2019. Even if we only get one fight a year for some of those years, as he's in full late career, let's take this pay-per-view brand wherever we can. Fights Poirier another time, which would have been the second time. There were sustainable potential matchups for him, an inevitable rematch with Holloway, where even if he had traded wins and losses, and even if he had basically been the Oscar De La Hoya in the second half of his pay-per-view career, where he could get in the certain level of shape or care enough to win some of those, like the Vargas fight or, a certain situation, but he's probably going to lose when he really challenges himself up, like when Oscar did against Bernard Hopkins. Although they did screw Oscar in the Mosley rematch. Let's not forget that. So he probably would have been, even if he doesn't ever win a title again, he probably fights for and maybe wins a BMF title, if that even matters. He probably fights for a third division championship at welterweight and try at least, has the chance at that history and can use that to sell monster pay-per-views. And even in an era where pay-per-views have never meant less, he's the rare guy who that rule does not apply to. He would have still been as valuable as ever. What if he beat Nate, but lost to Dustin, but beat Max? But what if he kind of did that type of run? I think he really would have sooner rather than later shifted into the role that he seemed to be when he came back against Cowboy Cerrone, a year after the loss to Habib. And I know at the time there was the pressure or the rumors that he was using the whole cleanup of his image and the babyface turn, and he's suddenly this family guy, and the doc cameras were following him because the rape allegations had broke out and he wanted to kind of push back against that. And that's possible too. But we found out from the leaked DMs to Dana that he was kind of ready after Cowboy not to go directly into a third division and do all these things, but to almost get like a victory lap tour of fights against other names where he's probably going to win. He mentioned Diego Sanchez. That could have been sustainable for a bit, even if there's criticism that comes with that. He's an attraction. He's a more popular and more legit Kimbo Slice, but he's an attraction. And then once in a while come up for air and really challenge something, whether it's like Topuria on the way up or something. That would have been sustainable. But it didn't happen. And his goal always, it seemed, when you go back and watch the early docs, was to get to exactly where he did and then maybe potentially walk away. So I probably shouldn't be surprised that he has competed as inactively as he has in the second half of his career. I guess what I'm upset about is the entertainment we were robbed. The fact that when he's active, it is more fun for everybody. It's more fun to watch these, cover these. my job security's better when he's doing that. I'm going to the big events and covering them on the ground. It raises all ships. But I also think for his own legacy, it could have been much different, even if he never had a super elite win again, even if he was just playing the greatest hits the rest of the way. It would have been different than what we do have. And whatever. I mean, I'm waxing poetic, but whatever. Christian L, I don't care what my company's wiki page says. BCO. BC is my CEO. Thank you for that. All right, long live the homeless cats. Okay, I mean, we got a big Texas move coming up right here. All right, yeah, man. This is from Jayers. Hey, back in the day, wrestlers had a gimmick. Stone Cold with the jeans shorts and the beer, Undertaker with the iconic pile driver, etc. Wrestling wear the ugliest tights now and have no good music. Yeah, I could see that, even though I'm not really watching enough maybe to fully grasp the realities of this answer in 2025. I guess I see enough. I come back in enough on social media to kind of get a small feel of the look, the aesthetic of where we're at. It does combine with the soulless turn of TKO in general, but at the same time, I don't know. At the same time, it's cyclical. There's repeat patterns where a certain type of personality or look or gimmick will get over, and then you get repeats of it. I love Dolph Ziggler. I've always loved Dolph Ziggler, but he's, second-rate poor man Shawn Michaels, let's be fair, with a little Ric Flair thrown in, but I think that's more cyclical than anything. I don't know if I necessarily put that on this. Maybe I want to say that the rise of indie wrestling to not just be looked at for the first time, or maybe not, I guess for the first time in the mid to late 2000s as like true elite art, even if it's coming from smaller men and smaller high school gyms, you know what I mean? But like Ring of Honor had that underground respect and fame, and that led into the indie revolution in the 2010s, and even WWE getting involved with NXT. And then, 2015 to 2019 NXT is some of the best wrestling I've ever watched in my life. So what I'm trying to say is maybe part of this is that what came with that was not only a return to I want to say basicness in your presentation, meaning like a return to, you don't have to have a gimmick to get over. You just need to be you. In fact, go by your real name. And you just need to be you. Maybe that mixed with the increase in work rate and the fact that, especially on the indie level, the high flyingness, the athleticism was just like something we'd never seen before. That was the biggest takeaway when I came back into fandom kind of accidentally in 2015, after really being away for a long time and being in and out, but away, in and out. I just could not believe the increase in physicality. So I guess maybe what I'm trying to say is, you were less reliant on needing a gimmick. The gimmick you needed was your moveset, your work rate, and your real name and your real backstory. But also, there's a difference in what we're looking for. I mean, WWE main roster will always be, the presentation will be as important or even more than everything else in a lot of ways. But if even all you're talking about is elite WWE right now, I hear what you're saying. I mean, some of that was the issues with Vince McMahon in recent years. There wasn't an NXT talent with even the ones with the organic uniqueness to their character that he couldn't screw up by removing one of their names or putting them in the worst tights, were the worst repackaged look ever, or just demeaning any value they have by jobbing them out, Yeah. All right. What is this? A wrestling podcast? Okay. Brody Moret, TKO ruined everything I love. Next thing you know, they're going to buy the BCX and have BC reading Snickers ads. We're not there yet. I gotta get these kids through college in some way, but we're not there yet. Damn, I hope not. Okay. Damn, I hope not. And maybe linked to that was Alan Dubbs saying, my boy BC will sell out to TKO like that. He got to put his kids through the college. So, this guy, Alan, does know the beating of my heart in that level. I don't want to say too much, but I don't want to say too little. But basically what I'm saying is, there were times, especially after Showtime falling, where I may have been more open to taking a chance or or working with certain people that maybe when things get more comfortable, you're not as willing. I'm still partially intrigued on what the TKO takeover will look like or be in boxing, and what they can do positively to change that. If they can go to Netflix and put on these monster great pay-per-view level events, yeah, I'd want to be a part of that. I'd love to, but I am also I guess a realist to the voice I'm also hoping to still have and keep up, and how that is a contrast in a lot of ways with those opportunities. So we'll see how it plays out. But got to get these kids through school. Also, you can't buy the BC's voice, can you? I hope you can. I guess we'll find out. I hope you can. All right. Yeah. 9:15 a.m. What has been the worst pain of your life, Mr. Campbell? There's some Reddit references in there as well. Hold on, Reggie. We got to let Reggie out. That's how it works. There's nothing that guy hates more than closed doors. Okay, metaphorically, physically, he will dig out a hole in the floor if you keep that man closed in. All right. Worst pain of my life. Certainly have endured some really hard emotional pain, and yeah, we've all gone through our own trauma, right? Worst physical pain of my life was the first half of the second needle of the three of that routine. But also when I ran a 1 mile race when I was 27. I talked about this on MK once, and like I took pride in this. I ran a mile in 5:56, which for my slow rear end was at 27 was something. That was something. But that distance, I had never run that fast before, and just went for it. Went all in. Dare to be great. They're going to cart me out of here. I'm willing to finish this race in the hospital. You know what I mean? Like one of those like mindsets of like you need as a fighter, where you're like, no matter what happens, I'm getting that belt. Yeah, up to and including everything. I had that mindset for that race, and it made me realize that was only a mile, but it made me realize that what 800 runners in track and field go through, 1,600 runners, like when you're at a distance that doesn't feel like it should be sprinted, but you have to completely commit to that if you're trying to, get your best time or compete whatever level you're trying to compete. I'm still shocked at how much pain that actually was. I mean, I don't consider myself high pain tolerant physically. Maybe the other side of it, I feel like I can shoulder not despair, but the challenges of life, and you hope you learn from the times you've survived, which has been every time, by the way. You're undefeated at surviving the worst days of your life. Don't forget. My therapist used to say that and be like, oh, okay, yeah, I get it. Stop talking. But no, it's right. It's freaking right. Okay. But I mean, you feel like the organs are it feels like after running a mile as fast as you physically can, like somebody's chasing you with a weapon fast. I didn't know that type of pain was part of the aftermath, or was part of the equation. I've semi-collapsed after 5K races in high school, where I just kind of, at some point just went for it. But not after 1,600 meters. Good Lord. All right. DJ Serenity Now just survived a banger. Hey, I went damn near a full day without smoking yesterday afternoon till late this morning. Not a fan. That's some commitment right there. All right. Drakus enters now. BC hoops with a 50s hook shot, and YMCA layup averages 3 points per game. I have a mixture of exotic post moves in unorthodox ways that do pull from different eras. And yeah, I'll go to the hook shot. I'll shoot with the left hand. I will head fake like crazy. I will exploit the pivot foot. I'll sweat a lot too. You know what's weird is I thought I was retired. Do I say this every year? I thought I was retired, and then I ran into a guy I used to play with in the same league, and he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna reach out to you, get you back in the mix." And I'm like, "Yeah, whatever. I think I'm retired. I think I'm done." I don't know. I couldn't sleep the other night, and I was like, "I'm not done. Who am I fooling? I'm not done. I'm not done." I was watching that Celtic City last night. I'm like, "I'm not done. I'm not done yet." Okay. There are things I'm still gonna accomplish on that court. It's not going to look good. I'll probably throw up when I come home. That's sometimes that's part of the deal. I'll probably stumble around the house for 3 days and be a nuisance to everyone around me. That's also attached to the ticket price. But as long as no one ends up throwing at me, right? As long as I'll get to the people to the point of squaring up. But as long as we end it right there, and I don't over compete mentally, I also don't want to be on crutches for 3 months. All the things we do for love, right? I would do anything for love, but I won't do that, Meatloaf, whatever that is. Okay, I mean, what are we talking about? What are we talking about? Ass? I mean, what are we talking about here, Meatloaf? Right? Thank you. Very Magic Johnson of UBC. You can do it. Thank you, 9:15 a.m. Trying to be positive like Magic. No, not like that. Not like that. Go get it. Yeah. I mean, sometimes those old guys have to draw a line and say, I'm not going to be old anymore. Or not yet. I'm not done. I ain't done yet. Okay. Brody says running is the best. Cardio is more fun than lifting weights. I can see where you say that. But then there's that cardio wall. And until you're willing to kick down that cardio wall, sometimes that cardio wall will send you back exclusively to the weight room. You know what I mean? And then we've all been there. Okay. All right. BC with the headband and goggles like a Kurt Rambis. Yeah, I don't go that nerdy, but I do play a very Kurt Rambis game. If I'm really trying to win, yeah, I'm going to try to win in every category. And sometimes I got to be the rodman. I got to, sometimes you look around the floor, you go, okay, I'm going to have to do the dirty work on this team. And that's fine. That's what I specialize in if I need to. All right. Yeah. It's game 7 in my mind. This is just, you're trying to stay in shape. This is game 7. Okay. To me. All right. Is there something sad that should we have a therapist on the bench? Yeah, probably, but it's going to be game 7 for me tonight. Okay. So yeah, I'm going to sweat on you. You're going to want to throw a punch at me. I don't want to do the lame bear levels. I'm not going to get you to, I'm not going to undercut you physically, but mentally. Yes. Yes. All right. Thank you. Thank you very much. All right. Let's get a couple more. Let's throw around a couple more, and then we can get out there and walk these dogs. Old man Dave says I wear the Horace Grant goggles that Dad maybe. Yeah. I always felt for those kids who had to. Right. If you have glasses, you kind of need them, and you don't want to do the context thing. Then if it was the 90s, you had to do the Horace Grant thing or the Harvey Grant thing with the specs. I never wanted to be that guy. All right. There we go. This is Run Dem Cheeks, my boy Joe here. Glad to have you back. Thank you, sir. Have you listened to the Weezer album Pinkerton? If so, what are your thoughts? It's their only album I actually enjoy. So I definitely have not attempted to master that from a standpoint of song by song. And I was told recently, a great recommendation on this show for me as I call up the Weezer's allmusic.com discography here. To explore, which I've started, the 2021 OK by Weezer, which is not in any way Radiohead. I'm enjoying that so far. Very on the surface in terms of my level of understanding, but I'm getting there. So that's a high-rated album. You're going to take me all the way back, though, to 1996, the second offering. Okay, so if their debut album was the Blue Album in 94, I definitely had time with that. I really like it. It's very good. Pinkerton, that was floating around at those times, senior year, freshman year of college for me. Let me look at the track listing. I don't have that full understanding in it in album form, but I'll put Weezer in the Tom Petty category. I guess you can even lop Green Day in there if it's me talking about my music fandom. It's bands I know I would like if I was willing to give the effort, but right now I don't feel like I am necessarily. But then what happens is inevitably I do, and then I wake up and I go, why'd I wait so long to do this? Do you know how many bands from the 70s I've done that over the last 5 years? Like, just a ridiculous amount, right? I feel like this, I effed around on the OK album from Weezer. I've been trying a little bit more lately. I think I'm ready for an album by album takedown. We'll see where it goes. Okay. Not so much on the other guys, but we'll see where it goes. Let's go Pinkerton next. I'll get back to you. Thank you, Joe, for your support. All right. Remix. He knows the key to my heart. Okay. Keeping my streak of 90s to 2000s NBA questions going. How did you react to the Malice at the Palace at the time? Great question, because I put this in my top 5 of oh shit sports moments that I witness live, not in person, but those moments in time that you watch live sports and you're never going to forget where you were when it happened, the what you were feeling, who you were with. And for me, those moments of just where sports just Kirk Gibson's home run in game 1 of the 88 World Series. Christian Laettner's shot against Kentucky to win the Final 8 game in the 92 NCAA tournament. I'm going to say it definitely that World Cup Landon Donovan game in like 2010 where I was somehow so into it through working at ESPN that I'm jumping down on a couch for a soccer game. You know the one I'm talking about. I think you do. The Tyson Bite fight, enough said on Holyfield. The Boise State game against Oklahoma in that bowl game that year, you know what I'm talking about? With the trick plays. Insane. And this damn thing right here. I don't think in pros or any form of sports, like it's been impacted so much by this one insane moment. And I was at a bar. So I was working at a newspaper part-time. This is 2004. The Pacers are playing at Detroit in a regular season end of the year before the play, right? No, or was this early? No, right. This was this may have been in late winter, right? Let me get that right. Let me get that Malice at the Palace right. Let me form the brain into what I'm saying here. November 19th, 2004. Okay. So we are early season between two teams that could be coming in the East. And a reminder that this year the Pistons would win the NBA championship. They would go to the finals again the next year under Larry Brown, both times. And they're coming off a somewhat surprising 2003 conference finals finish under coach of the year, Rick Carlisle, who just got the boot after that and would eventually move on to the Pacers and the Mavs and other places. And was a great assistant under Larry Bird with the Pacers in the late 90s and a role player, very low role with the Celtics in the mid 80s. And the Pacers, we thought, entering the 2004-2005 season. Okay, so this is the 05 season. So let me take that back. We're coming off the Pistons winning the championship in 04 after that breakthrough year in 03. So we're coming off where the Pacers are looking to be their B-side in the future for all future Eastern Conference finals. They're relatively close in space in the same division in proximity. There's a history there. There's a dislike between them, but not an overly decorative playoff history between them. But in this point, there was definitely the bad blood from the Pistons running it up on the Pacers the year before. Is that what that was rooted in? And definitely in hindsight, you can look back and blame a lot of this on Ben Wallace for losing his cool aggressively in the face of some late game when the score was already in hand, irritation from Ron Artest. So I'm Reg, you're absolutely killing it. All right. Every time Reggie arrives, it's like he hasn't been here yet. It's like life or death. I need you now, he just said. I show up at this bar, the Crossroads Cantina in Waterbury, Connecticut, now out of business, downtown. I get out of my job at the newspaper, meet two friends from hometown. We're talking about Bogo, we're talking about Mel's. And we're like, hey, dude, this really good game is on. These two teams are probably going to end up being in the conference finals again. This is the 05 season, and the Pacers might be the best damn team in the league. That's what was being talked about at the time. That's the real loss from the fallout of this brawl, which was, I still want to say, to large degrees, was deserved. The suspensions, I mean, they were heavy. They were, let's make a statement against these guys. Let's use these guys to make sure this doesn't happen again. But at the same time, this was the most reckless shit we've ever seen. Like, this was insane. So the cool part was we're at this bar where the entire rest of the bar is playing pool and darts and not looking at or even near the bar area with the TV in the corner. Where we got there and I go, hey, bartender, can you put on this game? I think it's the fourth quarter. And we turned it on with like 4 minutes to go or whatever, about 2 to 3 minutes before the fight. We turned it on. I'm like, oh, wow, it's already kind of a game in hand. This is crazy. But I was watching intently while you're having your first draft and you're talking game. I'm watching intently. I'm an NBA lifer fan at that point. And when this started bubbling, the push from Wallace, which was out of control, and and our test laying on the scores table, I'm riling my friends up. I'm like, oh, like I'm out of my chair. I'm like, guys, this is going somewhere. We got juice right here. Like this could be something. And what do you want in that case? You want a freaking melee. You want a brawl, not necessarily this kind of brawl. Like this is so extreme and next level. Although it became probably the thing I've replayed more in my life over anything, in terms of like I've watched this 4 million times from every possible angle, and including that night watching Sports Center over and over. It was like you couldn't get enough of it. But in that moment, when that shit turned, when our test got hit, jumped the thing, and then Steven Jackson is getting his boys back, and then Steven Jackson's cocked with that white dude with the glasses that's like, I didn't even do anything. It was the biggest oh shit. Because it wasn't like a key moment in a game like the Kirk Gibson home run or the Leitner shot where it's like, this is going to decide the game. Everybody get ready, right? This went from 0 to not 60 to 600 million, like that. Yes, we have had fights that have gotten into the front row of the crowd. The famous Game 3 brawl in the 94 Knicks Bulls series. And by the way, the entire 94 playoffs had some crazy brawls in it. Sort of the 94 season that I think they really tried to clean up from that. Think the Knicks Suns brawl from that year where people from then street clothes, some of the players were getting involved. Or think the first round of that 94 playoffs, the Heat versus the Hawks Pacers series, when Dwayne Farrell got grabbed by the throat and then they're brawling. I mean, it was a topic for a bit. But when the Knicks and Bulls did the famous Derek Harper, JoJo English fight, with David Stern in attendance, and they went into the first couple rows, and you're like, oh my God, that could have got really bad. That could have got really bad. All the things we always talk about of what it could be, or look how close we got to that line, but didn't get burnt. The Palace brawl was us all falling into the fire and going, okay, we're in it. How do we get out of it? What's going on? And I remember like grabbing my friends and be like, oh my God. And it's just like slow motion as like our test is beating on the dude, and in slow motion, I'm turning, I'm like, and then all of a sudden, but the thing about that Palace brawl was it kept escalating. Then suddenly they're back on the court, and those two dudes, the white fat dude with the Pistons jersey on, he's talking junk to Artest, and Artest's like, let's go. And Artest throws 2 punches, but that dude kind of slipped him, right? And it's this brawl, and then Jermaine O'Neal sees that fight. He gets that running start, and he lays that dude out. And you're like, okay, it's not going to get crazier than this. And at that point, I remember hearing a large noise, and I turned around, and every single person of the bar was standing, like leaning on me, like, and I'm like holding them back. And suddenly we're all in this together. There's no understanding of what's real and what's not at that point, because this thing just kept getting crazier. And then the fans are throwing beer, and then, Chuck Person's trying to hold back people, and people those Pacers guys got hit with like 3 to 4 beers right in a row. Bang, bang, bang. The crowd was out of control, but the Pacers were out of control on a level that we've never seen, in like jumping rows and just targeting random people. I mean, I guess it's if there's a comparison, it might be that Boston Bruins, what was it, with the Rangers, that brawl in the 70s in hockey that got into the crowd there at MSG and was insane. I mean, stuff like this has happened. I mean, in soccer, forget about it. It's happened a lot. But in big time American sports, like it doesn't cross these lines. That's just, you'll never forget it, as much as it's really bad. Like, time has removed enough that I'm like, I'm glad it kind of happened. I'm glad I witnessed it live. I'm glad I got that experience, because there's just never been anything like it. But I guess I understand the punishments, and they were so severely harsh that they hamstrung the Pacers. And by the time the Pacers got everybody back from suspension, or the ones they could, they weren't the same. That team was wounded in a way that was irrecoverable, air bud probably. But I like when I hear Steven Jackson do interviews these days with like Jermaine O'Neal or Ron Artest or whatever on All the Smoke. And he's right. They were going to win the championship that year. I really think they were. I think the 05 Pacers were going to win the championship that year. They would have had to go through the Spurs and the Pistons in the conference finals. But there was a defensive intensity that they brought to it. And Artest was playing controlled and enough, but also as good as he ever has as a pro. And you had Reggie and you had depth and so it's incredible what that did. And the closest thing I've been a part of since then was that Conor Habib brawl at 229, which I always say, and people think I'm dramatizing it, but that felt like it was that close to becoming the Palace brawl. And I'm happy for MMA and UFC that it didn't. I'm happy that it got relatively controlled fast because it looked like Bogalata was about to break out. It looked like you were going to get Russians and Irish just going to war. It was getting there. It was getting there quick. Thank you. Thank you. All right, let's wrap up. Let's clean up here. Let's clean up. Now, I got to go get prepared and ready. We got some dirt bags that are coming together, okay? Submission radio. This is Terrence Leverett. Terrence L. Terrence, but he don't take L's, okay? That's our guy. That's our guy. Don't call him Terry. Although, don't do that. Does UFC have a Stone Cold to headline 316? Hell yeah. I was wondering if they were going to have a crossover there. It would make sense given the TKO relationship. Steve Austin also really watches the UFC and from listening to his podcast for years and seems to appreciate it. I would love if there was even a minorly forced. Do you know a crossover I didn't love? And it was before they bought WWE. But like when Adesanya came out with the Undertaker gimmick, it was like, it wasn't cool to me. It was forced. And I'm not saying he was forced into that. He may have loved the idea and it was more of him, but I would be down rather than having Zuck in Volkanovski's corner, right? I'd be down with the same type of crossover of potentially of Stone Cold in this that I hoped 311 would have had at UFC 311. Now it is cool ultimately that UFC did play a 311 song or have a video play on the broadcast or something. There was some minor connection to it that they reached out. And I'm not trying to act like 311 is to my 90s nostalgia as to others is, anywhere close in terms of reverence or do they still have it or do we still care about them? No, they still tour. Shout out to them. I love those guys, but come on. But look at, if you will, night one of WrestleMania this year, the main event, when WWE made the really awesome move and bringing Living Color out to live perform their biggest hit, which doubles as CM Punk's Cult of Personality walkout tune. It was awesome. I mean, I love Living Color, Vernon Reid, Corey Glover, the guys. And it was awesome. Like Corey Glover's doing a selfie with Punk as he's singing it. Vernon Reid's doing crazy virtuoso stuff on there. It was awesome. I'm not saying UFC has to adopt that per se, but it is Stone Cold. It is 316. If you're going to force some kind of TKO crossover on us, I'd accept this one. That's what I'm saying. All right. There we go. We hit that one already. Yeah, let's clean up shop here. This has been great. This has been great talking in circles and having you guys listen, ask questions, maybe follow along, maybe not. Maybe just what else you got, Chin, from Michael McKinney? Yes, Chin moving to Texas. We got to find that out. That's a subplot. Reggie, what are you doing? That's a subplot that we've got to Reggie's digging through my records right now looking for something. Reggie, Jazz is over there, dude. All right. Yeah. Jazz Fusion, Reg. Okay. Real quick to close ish. Quick album of the week shout out. All right. Well, I don't know if this is a new segment. In fact, I want to get a music show off the ground with Bronstetter. I don't care if anyone doesn't watch it. It's just, I love that. I love talking shop. I love doing that. Okay. I want to shout out today Led Zeppelin 3, 1970. All right. It's not as if it's not a classic album. It is. It gets 5-star love and respect as it should. But it comes from a band who arguably has like 6 records better than it, or at least better than it than how we received the hierarchy of it. And that could be blasphemy to you. It's a little blasphemic to me because I love this. I'm presenting this album. So I'm not going to say it's overlooked. And to some people, it is a little bit of a take a chance album for them stylistically. It dipped into folk, traditional, blues, more aggressive than they ever had before. Like if Led Zeppelin 1 was the announcement, the arrival of this hard rock sound that is at its core electric British blues, that is so aggressively influenced by American blues that they're actually stealing the songs and repackaging them. It was raw and it was explosive and explosive. Led Zeppelin 2, arguably their best album, was them going, okay, look what we can do when we start writing our own stuff and we put it together and we make it a little more sanitized and not softer, but maybe more radio friendly. So in that regard, 3 is sort of maybe the obvious turn that they did make, where they go, let's go off the menu a bit. Did they still keep the like I said, the 5-star critical level up? You're damn right. But fear would be the wrong word. But I don't like how underrated or even forgotten it ultimately has become or does become. And first of all, this is my dad's copy. So I grew up loving the presentation on here, the amount that they put into with the circular wheel and all these emblems that probably mean deep, dark, satanic thing. Well, maybe probably not. But it's awesome in just that package representation. How you can run the pinwheel and it still works and it's awesome. And you want to talk about presentation, an iconic photo on the back that still is awesome and should be on your wall somewhere. And then you get to the music. And what's weird is I think the album that probably most compares to it sonically, historically, in that it was at the same time frame, is Traffic's John Barleycorn Must Die, which has a very similar aesthetic, feel, presentation, variety of genres and styles. Hold on, final door. Started as what would have been Steve Winwood's first debut album, but he was having so much fun reuniting with Traffic that it became a Traffic reunion. Okay. That album came out a month before Led Zeppelin 3 finished recording. So is there a direct influence anymore? Was that more of the sound of the times in 1970? There's a lot of things you can argue here. But Led Zeppelin 3 is the most aggressive they went. And sort of in terms of a hard turn into a different genre turn, because when you go back to Zoso into Houses of the Holy, I mean it's much more aligned on what their sound is. There's variations, there's chances taken, and certainly what makes Physical Graffiti, again, arguably their best record, probably is their best. I'll say it right now, Physical Graffiti is their best record. And that's because of the maturity level. That's all of their Hall of Fame greatness coming together and saying, let's escalate this a little more. Let's write longer songs. That's a tour de force double album that mixes, so many things to begin with. But 3 was a time that they're still developing, and they put out this folk and rock masterpiece. You have the explosive Immigrant song to kick it off, which I think is overrated compared to the tenor, but it obviously still rocks and almost doesn't fit in on this. It's almost as if they had to put the hardest song they had as number 1 just to say we're still that band. So put it out as a single, and if that's your jam song, then that's your jam song. Shout it out. It gets great at the end. It's fantastic. It's a little annoying and abrasive at times too. Topic for another day. But Led Zeppelin 3 Pound for Pound has some of the most wildly underrated, forgotten tracks. John Paul Jones is a tour de force on this record, in his bass playing and his orchestration, and him being the Brian Jones of them for playing bringing in the what I'm talking about, the mandolin, bringing in the different instruments. Let's see what he played. He played bass, Hammond organ, Moog synthesizer, mandolin, double bass, and did the string arrangements for the song Friends. Friends, Celebration Day. That's the way. I mean, these are like songs that don't get the love. You got Tangerine that people know about, Gallows Pole. But the best song Led Zeppelin ever done may have been Since I've Been Loving You, the 4th track of the album. It was long my dad's favorite Zeppelin song because of what Red House is to the Jimi Hendrix catalog in terms of the purest of pure blues. You could argue Since I've Been Loving You is that. I think it's Jimmy Page's best, most emotional guitar work, without question. Not just the solo. The licks are heart-wrenching. The vocal delivery by Page is out of this world. I came around. That is. Okay, so let's hear from Steven. Since I've Been Loving You is classic. Was 3 the first one they didn't steal? Yeah, I think you can argue if for that point, you could argue that 3 is the first almost complete, I believe, complete individual work where they wrote it. I mean, Gallows Pole and Hats Off to Roy Harper were both traditional songs that where they essentially rearranged them for themselves. But it's a tour de force of the Page Plant writing partnership, along with huge contributions from John Paul Jones. And what's crazy is if, and you can say this about the Beatles or the Stones or anyone that has such a high-powered catalog over a select period of time. For the Beatles, like a decade where they owned it, you know, and the Stones almost had their 60s run and their 70s run, although they've had many runs in and out of those too. So you can definitely say with the Beatles, like, hey, you know, if another band put out Rubber Soul, that'd be the best album they ever put out. But if another band put out Led Zeppelin 3, it wouldn't just be the best album they put out. Like Traffic's, like I said, Hats Off to John Barleycorn Must Die is probably the closest brother for it in terms of sound, yet isn't even as close to as good as this. That would be the best record Traffic ever did by far and would be their biggest selling and most incredible. Yet it's almost the one obscure album in Zeppelin's incredible run of 5-star consecutive records that, you know, arguably went from Led Zeppelin 1, which not everybody thinks it's a 5-star album, but that it arguably went through Physical Graffiti. There was no dud in that run. Even if Houses of the Holy is arguably the most commercial album they've ever put out, it's still a 5-star killer. But 3 has more charm, more Battle of Evermore is being talked out of here by Brody Moret. You're talking about Battle of Evermore is not on this album, but it's almost from Zoso an extension of what they started to establish here on 3. And, you know, Led Zeppelin 4, aka Zoso, again, it does carry on the spirit of some of the things that I love about 3 and maybe even takes them to new levels, and certainly has its own rock classics that makes that and no doubt 5-star record. If you said it's your favorite record of all time, I'm not going to argue. If you said it's the best Zeppelin record, I'm not going to argue, right? It's of that pantheon. All I'm saying is if anyone else did 3, Led Zeppelin 3 would be on that level too. Yet it's probably most Zeppelin's fans' 5th favorite record, right? I think it's their second best after it's in the top 3. Physical Graffiti 2 and 3 for me that's the heartbeat. That's the core of my fandom. There you go. All right. Steven saying, I think Physical Graffiti is the last one where Plant still had his voice. It started deteriorating there. I think a lot of that band deteriorated there after that. You can only go that hard, that heavy, that on fire for so long. And I think, you know, there we go. Thank you guys for taking part. Portuguese Herzog. It's been a good one. It's been a great one. Okay. We're going to talk more next week, next Wednesday. So let's do that. Probably have a piece of content tomorrow. I'm not sure exactly yet what it's going to be, but look out for that. Check out Morning Combat on Friday. Check out Inside the Box from yesterday if you missed it. Thank you for your support, your contributions, for listening to me ramble in circles. Signing out for now with the greatest outro that they have, I think, in podcasts today. Thank you to Anthony Weller of Head Change for writing this. Average Joe, Mikey, all the crew. Have a great one. Take care of yourself up here. Hey, if you don't believe in yourself, I got something to tell you. Nobody else will. They're not coming for you. It's up to you. It's up to you. I believe in you, though, for whatever that's worth. All right. Thank you. We're out of here.